Right, come on, you four-eyed fat-faced fool. Tell us what's going to be in the new podcast from the two mics.
Well, plenty of buffoonery from you and lots of sense from me. What else?
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The two mics on Talk Sport.
If aliens are listening out there, then please beam messages into my head.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the two mics and we're in for Colin Murray all week. Pep Guardiola is a worried man. He's worried his players are too fat and unfit. He's worried his players aren't going to be prepared enough for the new season. And he's worried the football calendar is too busy. That's an awful lot to worry about for one man, isn't it? Porky doesn't even like the way he gets dressed either. Did he just get his excuses in early? 08717 22 3344. Meanwhile, over at Old Trafford, Jose Mourinho's busy scything through the youngsters at the club in the same way he did at Chelsea. No hope for a new Ryan Giggs then. Also coming up on the show, it's Porky quiz time, and to celebrate the 50th anniversary of England winning a certain trophy in 1966. That's right, it's a quiz on the World Cup. You're listening to the two mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. It's Friday. It's time to say a very, very good morning and a happy Friday to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. It's the end of the week. It's Friday. Weekend beckons. So I hope you're going to behave yourself and,
Yeah, I got a lot of plans.
Continue your domestic bliss behaviour of yesterday. How did it go?
Very well indeed. Yeah, we had a very nice lunch. Took a lovely car, actually, over to Covent Garden, which was very, very nice. It was a black Merc.
I saw it parked outside when I left the building.
Yeah, very nice.
You'd left it waiting, you know.
Well, I was waiting. Yeah, I was waiting because, the kids were, still being shown around TalkSport Towers and, enjoying themselves very much. In fact, Oliver, the 11-year-old, now wants to come here and do his work experience. And do you know, apparently, according to his school, in the next 2 years, he has to do some work experience somewhere.
What, at the age of 13? By the age of 13?
So I might have him come in here and carry your headphones around in the faux leather bag or something.
That's very nice indeed.
What do you think?
Now, what were they dressed in yesterday, your boys, when you took them out for lunch?
They were wearing short-sleeved checked shirts and a pair of shorts.
No, they had something on top of those, didn't they? They had something on top of those.
Oh, do you mean the shirts you bought them?
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
do you want to get public accolade for that?
No.
Because, of course, normally when somebody gives a present or a gift to a child, they don't reveal what it is.
I just thought on this occasion, as we're,
Did you actually buy them, those shirts, or did they come from some freebie collection of yours?
What do you think I did? Stole them?
Well, I mean, you may have, conned somebody into giving you a freebie. I don't know.
No.
They were very well received. One of them was given a Chelsea shirt, because that's who he supports, and the other one was given an England shirt. And it's the latest England shirt as well.
Yes.
And they were very happy with them. In fact,
God, I'm delighted. They look very smart when they left.
We did ask the Chelsea one to remove his shirt before we went to the restaurant in case, they thought we were thugs.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But obviously that's no slight on Chelsea.
Yes, that's right.
Just generally football shirts are sometimes not quite so well regarded.
Anyway, what happened when you got to the Savoy
Hotel?
Anyway?
What do you mean anyway?
Well, it's part of the same story.
I'm telling you the story.
Yeah, but we've got a lot more to get on with.
Okay, yeah. Well, after we had lunch, we decided to go back to Canary Wharf on the boat.
On the boat, that's
which is a very nice way to go.
Exactly.
And the quickest way, of course, as anybody knows, to get from the Strand to the embankment is to go through the Savoy.
Indeed.
And they used to be able to walk through the Savoy pretty much without any sort of worry at all, right? But they seem to have clamped down on that. So as we approached the front door of the Savoy, the doorman said, "Oh, good afternoon, sir. Are you staying with us?"
Yes.
And because I didn't want him to say you can't come in, I just went, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Staying with you.
Yeah.
And he went, oh, can I take your bag? Because we had a suitcase that was brought up from the mother of my children brought with her.
Exactly.
And he said, can I take your bag? I said, no, it's all right, it's fine. He said, what name are you checked in as? He started following me in the door and leading me towards the front desk. And I'm like,
so you told a complete lie.
Well, not exactly.
Just to get into the Savoy. A complete lie. You're always telling me of not telling the truth.
I didn't want to.
Complete lie.
My mission was to show my children through the Savoy, right? So therefore,
they clocked you
by any means possible. He thought I was a guy checking into the place.
That road up to the Savoy front door is a good 20, 30 yards long, and he saw you coming from a long way out, believe me.
Well, yeah, because he obviously recognised me as the sort of person who would stay there.
No, the sort of person that normally wouldn't stay there. That's why I asked you.
So that's why he said, are you checking in, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
So in the hope that you'd say, are you mad?
No.
How could I possibly stay
anyway,
in a place like this?
I was very easily able to shake him off due to my amazingly sort of rat-like cunning journalistic instincts like yourself.
Communicative skills.
As he led me towards the front desk, I said, I'm going going to check in a minute. I said, I just want to show the kids round, maybe have some tea.
Yeah.
So he left me alone. I just kept going.
Okay.
But you know what they've done? But as you walk through, I don't know how well you know the Savoy. Probably not that well.
Pretty well. Went there for breakfast.
So you'll be able
recently.
to describe to me what happens as you walk through there.
Well, as you walk through the foyer and then you want to go towards the back, you go up a set of stairs, right?
No, you don't.
You go down a set of stairs.
You go down a set of
stairs. That's right. Down a set of stairs. Then you're into the.
What do you pass then?
In the afternoon tea room. What do you put?
No, incorrect.
On your left.
Incorrect.
On your left, you pass the breakfast bar where I had breakfast recently.
That's not true.
Well, it's true when I was there.
No, it's not. On the left, you pass the corridor which leads you to the cloakrooms.
Exactly.
On the right, there's a couple of shops. One's a very expensive jeweller's.
That's right.
One serves a kind of crockery type thing.
Exactly.
That's not what you said.
And then you go on to the breakfast room. You go on to the breakfast room.
No, then you get to the tea room.
That's right. Well, it's a breakfast room in the morning and the tea room in the afternoon. It is. I'm telling you, it is.
The breakfast room is the furthest one because you sit by the river.
No.
Anyway, now that we've established you don't know the Savoy very well,
I know it very well.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. So we walked through into the tea room where there's all kinds of things going on. There's a couple of old dowagers. Well, yeah, but it's the kind of people that have tea. Over on one side, there's a group of very rich young American teenagers who are obviously staying there on their parents' card. You know. There was some Russian gangsters over to one other side, who looked very, very troublesome.
What were their names?
What are their names?
Yeah.
I didn't ask their names.
Oh, really? You didn't inquire?
I don't think that was a very good idea.
Are they friends of Mr. Putin?
I don't think you should get into that at all.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing scene anyway. But normally you could go through that room and past the new bar on the left-hand side, which I believe is it's now called the Oak Bar or something.
The Oak Bar.
You turn left and you walk down the stairs and you get out to the river. But they closed all that off because they're doing renovations.
Right, so how did you get out?
So we walked all the way through, and by this time, there's the Born in England shirt. There's me pulling his bag.
You've been clocked by the establishment.
The mother
people.
of my children's not very good at feigning anything really.
Yes.
So she was starting to look a bit embarrassed.
Yes.
And so I had to go up to the girl at the head of the next room to say, "Excuse me, how do I get down? I've got to meet somebody down by the river room downstairs by the river entrance."
Yes.
And so she told me how to go. So then we did that.
And
so we had to go
back.
So we had to go back through.
So this was just a web of deceit and lies and forgery.
Yeah. Kids loved it though.
Shocking.
They liked it.
Shocking. Well, Daddy's a crook. They like that.
Then the only other thing that happened, which is worthy of note, was as we were waiting to get on the Thames Clipper, which takes you all the way back down past Tower Bridge and all that.
Yes.
There was quite a big queue, and as we were about to get on the boat,
you jumped the queue, did you?
Didn't jump the queue, no. But it's very confusing now because you either have to use your oyster and tap it in or not tap it in. I've got a feeling I didn't pay somehow. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, good.
What do you mean good?
Well, good that you at least made.
No. Your immediate instinct was to go good because that's what you do all the time.
No, I don't know.
You don't always go to first class without paying.
No,
so there was a guy sort of staggering about at the back of the queue. Quite well dressed in a brown leather jacket, a pair of jeans. Right?
Yes.
Clearly a little worse for wear.
Oh yeah.
And as they started to close the gate to the boat, and he was he refused to let him on.
Well, I'm surprised he could have fallen over and drowned.
No, but it's the first time I've ever seen somebody not allowed onto a boat.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
On account of being the worst for wear.
Had this guy come out of the Savoy?
I don't know where he came out of.
Well, I mean, is it?
He wasn't that well dressed.
Is it the Savoy sort of docking port?
No, it's the Embankment Pier.
Embankment
Have you
Pier.
never been on one of those boats?
Yes, I have. Yes.
It's right opposite Embankment Station.
I know
you don't know anything about London, do you?
I do.
I'm going to take you on the boat because you know why you'd love the boat.
Why?
It's got a bar on it.
Yeah, I know it's got a bar on it because if you remember, we once went for lunch somewhere up Canary Wharf and took the boat from Westminster. Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
We did.
No, you took the boat from Westminster with the people you were coming with.
Oh, right, okay.
And I went there across by my own means.
I've been on the boat 100 times.
No, it just proves you have no memory of anything. I've got a story in one of the papers today that says lack of sleep causes memory loss.
Oh, yeah, that'd be ridiculous. Well,
how much sleep did you have last night?
Now, listen, what we should be talking about
Pep Guardiola.
Well, Pep Guardiola, I mean, is he getting his excuses in before the season starts?
What have you got against Pep Guardiola is my question.
Hang on, first of all, my players aren't fit enough. That's always what you say when you get to a new club, because then you can blame the last manager.
Yeah.
He said Nasri hasn't even, according to one report this morning, Nasri hasn't even been in a practice match yet because he's not thin enough. He's too fat. And now he's talking about, we're going to kill our players. Pep Guardiola fears Manchester City could be undercooked when the season starts in 2 weeks' time. Etihad Chief has taken charge of just 2 friendlies. City beat Borussia Dortmund.
Why are you talking like a Dalek?
Well, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to rapidly get through the number of excuses that he's come up with. We're far away from where we want to be, but people can't imagine how hard it is. We're going to get
Why are you
there.
speaking like that?
Well, because...
It doesn't sound like... I'll tell you what I think is wrong.
There are many things to improve. The beginning will be tough, and to create something new, you need time.
Right.
We have the Champions League coming up.
He's not from Bombay.
Game. No, but I mean, he's just excuse after excuse after excuse.
I think the thing about Pep Guardiola is
I think he knows he's taking on a bit, taking on a huge responsibility.
No, I think the thing about Pep Guardiola is that he's a very suave, sophisticated, continental-style manager, right?
I don't like his pitch-side
but
garb
as I
at all.
said earlier, I think you're the kind of guy that if you were playing against him, you would just chop him to death. You would just keep hacking away at him until he got him out of the game.
You know, the touchline...
He's a cultured football man.
The touchline shouldn't be a Banana Republic fashion show. Does he think the touchline is a catwalk for him?
What's wrong with Banana Republic?
Well, Banana Republic is the sort of clothes that people wear in leisure periods, leisure times. Younger people wear in leisure times. You don't wear them when you're a professional at the top of the profession
maybe he's only dressed like that because it's pre-season. I mean, normally when I've seen Pep Guardiola on the touchline, he's wearing a suit. A very, very sharp suit, usually an Armani suit, actually.
You know, we have a bit of dignity and style in the Premier League, mate. This ain't, where he was last in the old La Liga. You know what I mean?
No, but what you're doing is you're kind of making him out to be some kind of weirdo, right? Just because he likes to dress in a sort of fashionable way, and because he thinks laterally and he has a lot of creative thought, which is not what you're used to dealing with. You're used to dealing with the David Moyes of this world, who are a bit more direct.
Well, I believe in direct action, direct speech, direct talk. I believe in all of that.
What about Ronald Koeman?
Ronald Koeman?
What do you think of his dress sense?
Ronald Koeman's got terrific dress sense.
Terrific.
Well, he wears very, very suave suits.
Does he?
Smart. Sharp.
I haven't seen Ronald Koeman, actually, since he signed for Everton.
Well, that's because he's keeping low profile.
Well, he's not. He's writing a column for a newspaper.
No, he's getting busy in the transfer market.
Is he?
Yeah, but I can't tell you too much.
Well,
about
mostly
that.
selling rather than buying.
No. It's all underway.
Okay. Well, we shall talk about that coming up very shortly.
Indeed.
This is, of course, the Two Mics in for Colin Murray on TalkSport with Wix. A half price on selected tiling and flooring with an extra 15% across the range when you buy online. The offer ends on August the 2nd.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
This is the Wix phone-in on TalkSport. We send a £100 Wix gift card to our best caller every day, as decided by the extremely fair and not at all dishonest Mr. Mike Porky Parry. So we'll be deciding a little bit later on in the show which one of you lucky people gets a £100 Wix gift card. And the number, of course, to call is this: 08717 22 33 44. Because we're not just talking about Pep Guardiola and what he's planning to do at Manchester City. I mean, he's talking about maybe chucking a few players out if they're not fit enough.
Yes.
But Jose Mourinho is doing something slightly different at Old Trafford, but it's exactly what he did at Chelsea, which is kind of scythe through all the young players.
Well, you say
and
that.
Say, let's get rid of you.
Well, you don't know the names. All we know is we're reading reports that Jose Mourinho has told 9 players to leave. Planning for Paul Pogba's arrival.
Yes.
Biggest casualty. Well, we all knew this, by the way. It was Bastian Schweinsteiger. Louis van Gaal should never have bought him because he wasn't fit. He was a German croc.
Well, I mean, you'd probably say that he did all right for them, though, in the season that he was there.
I don't think he did. He didn't play 12 games.
Yeah.
So how did he do all right for them?
Well, because he did.
Contribution.
Yeah, I think he made a contribution. I mean, we had a conversation with Ollie Knack the other day, didn't we, where you accused him of sending over a load of old dud, sort of worn-out German footballers.
That's right,
to come and play. Well, that is the trouble, isn't it? When you have the league which pays the most money in the world, that's what you're going to attract from time to time, isn't it?
Well, maybe, but anyway, look.
Well, what do you mean we don't know their names then? You've just named me one of them, Bastian Schweinsteiger.
Yeah, that's one, but there's another 9. Now, you're assuming that Jose's going to, to use your expression, scythe through the young talent at Manchester United.
Well, because remember what he did at Chelsea.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Well, because I know these things. You remember what he did at Chelsea, right? When he had all these youngsters out on loan.
This is not Chelsea.
Yeah, but
this is not Chelsea.
No, I realise that it's not Chelsea.
Right.
I realise it's a much smaller town, much smaller town, a much bigger club, if you like. Yeah. But he's up in Manchester and he's at Manchester United. He was always criticised for not giving youngsters at Chelsea a chance to play because they had all these kids on their books and he used to loan them all over the place. They had the most players out on loan at any one time. It was like 26 or something, right?
Like that, yeah.
So he's obviously going for the same, and he's bringing in people like Pogba. He's going for the sort of Harlem Globetrotters type team, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure of that because the Harlem Globetrotters didn't play competitive basketball, did they?
Well, let's see. Here's a couple of names for you. Tyler Blackett, 22. Yes. James Wilson, 20. Along with Will Keane, 23. They are all going to be allowed to leave. Well, that's made no impact whatsoever on Manchester United, and they're well out of their teens. I think he's probably right. Andreas Pereira, 20, is also being farmed out.
If you haven't made it as a teenager in a top club, you're not going to make it. So I'm sorry, I have no problem there with Jose saying, look, what are these guys doing on the wage
bill? But what I'm saying is it's the same kind of thing that he did at Chelsea. Guillermo Varela,
he's very successful at Chelsea,
has already joined Eintracht Frankfurt on loan.
What point are you trying to make here?
What I'm saying is that he's doing what he does best, which is basically to
so you applaud
or
this?
would you like me to answer the question first?
You applaud this?
I'm not saying I applaud it. I'm just telling you what he's doing. It's not a question for me to applaud or not applaud.
Well,
he
excuse
does.
me,
What I'm saying is,
opinion.
well, I have got an opinion. But at first, I have to give you the information. You see, the problem with you is you form an opinion before you know any of the facts.
No.
I'm giving you the facts.
Yeah.
Then you can form an opinion. How about
Come on,
that?
then, windbag.
Okay, so windbag. That was pretty good coming from you.
Yeah.
The world's largest wind farm on radio.
Come on.
What I'm telling you is that he's taking all of these players who, as you quite rightly say, are not household names.
Yes.
He's saying we don't really need these guys. Now we
Yes.
can either loan them out or we could just get rid of them. They're never going to make it into my team. You know, Marcus Rashford is the only youngster he's going to play, probably.
That sounds pretty sensible
Well,
to
this
me.
is what. Yeah, but hang on. But we talk all the time, do we not, about the youth of British football
No.
coming up and being. Well, we
No.
do actually on
I
TalkSport.
don't remember
I
you
know
and
you
I
never
having a
listen.
conversation
Well,
about
no,
it.
I'm talking about we as in TalkSport. I know you never
Yeah.
listen to anybody else's show because you're not on it, unless you're on it, and that's when you listen to it, right?
Come on.
Point is that he is completely and utterly doing what he did at Chelsea, which is to mean that no English player will be able to come through the ranks
Yes.
in a Premier League team,
Yes.
and that is a problem
Yeah.
for England in particular, and particularly as you're England's biggest fan at
Yes, I
TalkSport,
am.
you should be concerned about it.
Well, the only thing I would say about that is at a club football level, he doesn't have to have those considerations, and that what he's clearly doing is he's clearing the decks to make Pogba the cornerstone of his new team.
Yeah.
The cornerstone.
Well, he's £112 million worth of cornerstone, so you
exactly.
probably want to do that.
Exactly. So he's bringing him in, and what he's saying is, actually, I'm not going to waste my time on trying to infuse into the team other players who aren't up to the standards that I require.
Yeah.
These boys haven't made a breakthrough in their late teens, which is when you have to put any sort of mark on the club that you're playing for. So he's shipping them out.
Yeah, but
I
you
think
say that.
he's doing his job.
No, well, you say that, but I mean, Marcus
But why
Rashford.
don't you tell me whether you think it's a good thing or a
Well, hang
bad
on,
thing?
hang
You're
on,
making
'cause
some social observation.
No, because I haven't
but
finished.
you haven't got an opinion as usual.
No, because I haven't finished actually telling you what's going on yet, and you're sort of
God,
shooting off
still
at the
haven't
mouth.
finished.
No, I mean we've
God,
only.
we're 24 minutes into the show.
Yeah, I know, but I mean you had to waste most of it talking about my trip to the Savoy.
Come on, get on
My
with it.
point is that Marcus Rashford only ended up being discovered by accident by Louis van Gaal because they had so many injuries.
Louis van Gaal.
And he suddenly shipped the guy into the first team, and without anybody realising,
Yeah.
they suddenly went, "Oh, this guy's rather good, isn't he?"
Yes.
But so my point is that mostly if you are a young English footballer, you are not actually going to get into any Premier League team because nobody's going to take that chance. And Jose Mourinho isn't one of those guys. He's not going to ever give you a chance.
Rashford, age when that happened?
When that happened, he was 17, wasn't he?
18, I think. And age of these as he's shipping out, over 20.
Some of them are over 20.
They've failed the audition,
No,
Mike.
because
They failed the audition.
I don't think they've been given a chance. Well, let's ask the people listening to the show.
Indeed.
I mean, would you rather see more young English players coming through in the Premier League? Because that would surely help.
But that's not the responsibility
England
of Premier
national
League
team.
managers.
Well, you may
Particularly
say
as only
that.
3 of them now are English.
Why don't you just give the number out instead of interrupting me?
I will give the number out.
Go on,
It's
then.
08717
Go on.
223344. I'll repeat that.
So you never say the last number properly.
Hang on, I said that fast just to put
Yeah, why don't you try and say it slower?
old MG in his place because he thought I didn't know it. It is 08717 223344.
Very good.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
Here's one from Reg, who says at the two mics. For Andrew Beef Johnson to Pep Guardiola, is there an impersonation that Porky can actually do?
That's a bit harsh, isn't it? I wasn't trying to impersonate Pep Guardiola. I haven't heard him speak very much, to be honest. I was merely...
What do you mean you haven't heard him speak very much?
I was merely talking in staccato because staccato emphasises the points I was trying to make.
Right.
You'll notice that so far, old windbag MG this morning is flapping around trying to find something to say about Jose without
Not at all.
actually giving you any indication of whether he approves or disapproves.
well,
Whereas
it's not-
I, of course,
Yeah.
have told you already what's going on.
Really?
Jose's getting down to business.
Is that right?
That's what you would expect.
Aylesby says this: how can Porky ever go at someone's dress sense when he turns up every day in a lumberjack shirt and mother care shoes?
I'm a
very
lumberjack and
true.
I'm okay.
Yeah,
Sleep
please don't
all
sing.
night and I work all day.
Becky says, a strange start to the show. MG gets to tell an interesting story. Porky listens. Are his
right,
teeth
yeah.
playing him up?
No, oh, by the way, I went to the dentist yesterday.
Yeah, what did he say?
I went for the 72-hour checkup. That's
Did
72
he give you
hours
any more laughing gas?
after 72 hours after I had it done. Except
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was 72 plus 24, which is 96 hours.
Yeah.
But 2 of those... No, actually,
What are you
96
talking
plus
about?
20. It was 120 hours,
120 hours.
but 48 hours of it didn't count because it was over the weekend when dentists
Why
aren't
doesn't that
open.
count?
Well, they're not open.
They
So
are.
You go back 3
Dentists
days.
are open.
Well, only for emergencies.
Dentists around me are open 7 days a week.
What my dental surgeon said to me, and he's
Yeah.
an extremely well qualified,
Is he?
highly professional man,
Uh-huh.
he said that my response to a very involved and complicated dental procedure is the best he's ever come across in the whole of his career, and he's been a dentist now for 30 years.
What, so he's saying that you're actually a medical miracle?
Sort of.
Funnily enough.
He said, I've never seen it settle in so quickly, I've never seen the mouth heal so quickly, so I've never seen a situation in which nothing's gone wrong. Yeah. It's impeccable. Your behaviour, Mr. Parry, has been impeccable.
Did he say, actually, that you are the most amazing patient he's ever had?
Well, he said something like that,
amazing,
seriously.
Isn't it?
No,
are you
honestly.
sure you weren't under sedation and you just imagined all that?
Honest to God, he was nodding his head and saying, I can't believe this. Yeah, he was taking pictures in my mouth and sending these pictures to colleagues all over the world.
Was he?
Saying, look at this, it's incredible.
You really believe this rubbish, don't you?
I'm telling you.
Funnily enough, I ran into a former colleague of yours yesterday.
Oh, yes?
At the restaurant.
Yeah.
Which I should tell you about shortly.
Is it another
He's
one
not very happy with you?
Another one who's become a washed-up old loser?
No, actually, he's the editor of the Daily Express.
Oh, well, that's what I meant.
Yeah. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. The Porky quiz coming up a little bit later on the World Cup in 1966. Of course, Porky claims to be an expert on it. He claims he was there.
I lived through
he knows everything. I'm predicting 3 out of 10 on this particular one. Let's go straight to the phones, though, because this is the Wicks phone-in. Of course, the number is this, 08717 223344. We've been talking about a great many things. Pep Guardiola making excuses. Jose Mourinho not playing any youngsters. Let's talk to Ian, who's a Derby fan. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Ian.
Hello, mate. All right, morning.
Yes, good morning to you. What would you like to tell us?
Go on.
Well, just listening to you guys this morning, as I do, driving to work, and the point, you're raising about, homegrown English talent. I think, we need to be doing more of it because, I watched, obviously, the Euros with interest, and obviously England were disappointing, but, when you look at the Welsh performances, we've got to start developing English players and giving them a chance at the top level. Otherwise, it's always going to have a derogatory effect on our national team, I think.
Yeah, but the problem, my friend, is how do we do that? The greatest brains in football have been battling that one for the last 50 years, literally.
Does that include you?
Yeah. It's the anniversary of the World Cup victory. We still can't produce young players. Now, if you've got a solution, please share it with us.
Well, it's like a lot of things, isn't it? I mean, I'm a big rugby fan as well.
Yeah.
And you look how England have done recently, and our English players are brought through the development, the coaching, and we've now got an English national team that's, cutting it at the sharp end. So I don't see why we can't take some of the lessons from rugby and apply that in our national football team.
Okay, well, the differences between rugby and football are extreme in terms of pressure and expectancy and behaviour within the game. But if we can take lessons from them, I'm sure we will.
I think we would. Ian, thanks very much indeed. Let's talk to Paul, who's a Leicester fan. Paul, very good morning to you.
Good morning, boys. Good
Hi,
morning.
Paul.
How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, we're doing well, mate.
What do you reckon?
Good. He said the Mourinho thing. I think it's, again, because he never played the game, so he never came up as a youth player, promising youth player, getting in the first team. And obviously, he's always been at big clubs, so he's not been at a club where they've had to look after look after the fans and pens. So he's not been in and around it. You have managers just go watch the youth teams in the afternoons and stuff. He's not been in and around it.
Yeah, but you see, Porky says that it's not his job to do that, and he's right to a certain extent. I mean, Mourinho's job, I suppose, is to make sure that Manchester United win the Premier League. Now, he's not really there to give a chance to youngsters, which is a pity, in my view.
Well, they have to pay for the academies. We've got Jeff Schlupp, who come from the academy. West Brom have been after him for $10 million. And we've just Ben Chilwell, Liverpool have been after him all summer. We just signed a new contract yesterday.
Right.
He's been come through the academy. Suppose you get one come through the academy, that pays for itself. And you have to do that. But I think he's a bit ignorant because he's not played the game. And I think he's a bit he can't relate to how they come through.
Right. I think you've been a bit hard on the guy who's considered to be the best club manager in the world.
But everything after what we did this season, it's almost like he'll have his £300-400 million war chest. And
The thing is, Paul, it's good of you to call. We enjoy talking to you. We enjoyed talking to the last caller, Ian. But nobody's got the solution to the problem. How do you draw through great English players? Maybe like Ross Barkley, who should be doing better, and we should have another half dozen like him.
Well, he's had his opportunity, hasn't he?
I agree. And they should have another half dozen like him. How do you do that at the same time as saying to a Premier League manager with £100 million in the bank to pay for one player that his responsibility is to help the youth of today? That's the conundrum.
That is the question. Paul, thank you very much indeed for your call. Let's ask Dominic, who's a Norwich fan. Dominic, very good morning to you.
Morning, lads. You all right?
Yeah,
Hello,
good.
Dominic. We're in good shape, mate.
So what's the answer, Dominic? Have you got one?
Well, I think it's about time the Premier League made English teams have more homegrown players in the squad. I know there's a rule you have to have a certain amount of homegrown players in the squad at the moment, but it's time that gets increased, in my opinion.
Well, either that...
the Premier League and the FA Cups... and the FA's responsibility.
Either that, Dominic, or because the squads are so big, of course, it's just paper talk, isn't it? Just put a few names in. Now, if they change the rule to say that the 15 named for any game, right, had to include 20% of homegrown players, and one of those had to make an appearance of over 60 minutes, but then again, you can't run football by strict, ridiculous rules like that. Football's all about who's good enough to get on the pitch and put the shirt on.
Yeah, I just think the money's taken over, and it's just not...
Of course it has. Of course it has, but I mean, how can you have it any other way?
Hang on. I mean, Dominic's got the germ of an idea here. I mean, how many would you say minimum? I mean, could you not just make it rather than a minimum in the squad, a minimum actually in the team?
I think in the squad because, like you say, if you can't exactly limit it to the team, but it just needs to be more of a percent, maybe like you say, 20%, 25%.
Yes, I think, Dominic, you have sort of half thought this through, as old MG said, a German idea, but I don't think you've actually thought it through properly. Yeah, because we're having to fill in the gaps in your crazy plan.
What's 20% of 11?
20% of 11 is 2.1.
So 2.1 players basically would be homegrown, which is probably about what it is already. I think you'd have to up it a bit, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you probably would.
Yeah, let's talk to John, who's an Everton fan.
Yeah.
John, very good morning to you.
Good morning, boys. How are you?
Yeah, very well,
good,
sir.
John. Very good.
What would you like to say?
Well, we always used to employ every Tom, Dick and Harry, but in the Premiership at the moment, we're employing Thomas, Ricardo and Herman.
Very good.
Of course
very
we
good, Tom. John, Tom.
Yes.
Whatever your name is.
It's a bit of Scouse culture, that, John.
Yes, well...
Yeah, but hang on, like I just said to Porky, right, John, Ross Barkley's a great example of a homegrown player who has been given a great opportunity at Everton, and, I mean, he's not exactly breaking down any doors to get into the England team at the moment,
That's Martinez's fault. That is definitely Roberto Martinez.
We're still expecting him to develop at a quick rate, but what I'm talking about, boys, today is Brexit may give us the answer that we need.
Oh,
Brexit?
Yeah. Because of European law, we can't stop European players coming over, and so sort of the teams have took the opportunity to be basically non-selective in the quality of the players that they bring in.
Yeah, yes. But the problem with that, John, I mean, you may be right about this, because if it ever does happen, I'm beginning to wonder if Brexit will ever actually happen any time in our lifetime, but there's so many people who don't want it to happen and are going to stop it from happening. But, I mean, would you not then have a period of time where the English Premier League was then not as good as it is now?
No, because I think what we could actually do is, first of all, we can set a limit maybe of 7 or 8 foreign players that can come into any team, which would give them, and it would take sort of a time to do it. So, but on top of that, the quality of player that came in would have to be much better, and the clubs would be able to afford it because sort of they're spending too much money on low quality players, whereas with the money that they've got, they could play a higher premium price for the very, very best players. Yeah. And I think then, I mean, Everton, Mike, you must realise the quality of young players Everton have got.
Oh, of course, we just won the under-21 competition, didn't we?
Well, if you took the defenders we've got, Mike.
Yeah.
We've got Tyus Browning. Yeah. We've got Holgate, who we got from Barnsley, who's a top class player, by the way.
Yeah.
We've got.
But you get players from Barnsley, John, and you just sell them on, don't you?
Well, you get them for 1 million, you sell them for 50. That's good business.
But it might be good business, not good footballing business, is it, John?
Our point is clearly that sort of he's developed in a fantastic way under Stone. He's got more development to do, but at the same time, we are bringing our own through, and we have substantial numbers of great quality defenders. We've got Garbett. We've got Galloway, we've got Holgate.
Well, I mean, Galloway and Tyson Browning certainly come to the fore. Young Holgate I've heard a lot about, but I'm not as close to the things as you are up there. But I mean, look, all of that just unfortunately goes to the wall when your manager suddenly decides he's got 100 million quid in the bank and he can buy, a defender from a German club for 27 million quid who's established. That is the problem we've got to get over. That is what we've got to try and solve.
Absolutely right. John, thanks very much indeed for your call. This is, of course, the Wix phone-in. A £100 Wix gift card will be on its way to the best caller of the day. Mr. Parry, of course, will decide who that was. We'll be taking more of your calls a little bit later on. How about this from a texter on 81089? He says, Tyler Blackett came up to Celtic last season on loan. It was awful. Sent home early. If you can't make it at Celtic, you definitely can't make it at Manchester United. Jose lacks the ability to develop players. He hasn't the patience, so English players at Man United should find new clubs, to be honest, says Ben.
I think that's absolutely true. I don't think Jose Mourinho has got the patience. I think Jose Mourinho is the sort of manager who wants to deal with top professionals and has very little time to waste on waiting 2.5 years to see a player flourish.
That may well be the case, but it seems to me to be a bit of a shame, particularly for young English players who spend their entire teens trying to get into a Premier League setup.
Yeah, I agree.
And then finding they can go nowhere.
I agree, but it's a truism of life that John Terry may never have had a career at Chelsea had Jose Mourinho been his first manager there.
Yeah, that's very possibly true.
Yeah.
Now, coming up, we're going to be talking about cheating, something you know something about, something you're an expert in. You've cheated your way through life. I think you've admitted many times in the past. So your story coming up next is going to be fascinating.
I think we're also going to be talking about your hair as well.
We can talk about my hair as well.
That is a fascination which has caught the nation's imagination.
I realise.
Get onto Two Mikes TV, folks, and just have a look at that.
That's
have a
on
look
YouTube.
at that.
Yeah, we've also tweeted out the video, actually. It was our visit to the Blow Bar the other day. Which was very, very enjoyable indeed, particularly for me. We're talking about cheating pigeons coming up next. Now, you were talking earlier about how your dentist has hailed you as one of the great sort of medical miracles of modern science.
Just as a perfect patient, actually, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he described me as,
Because I want to tell you this little tale before we get into this amazing story about the pigeon fanciers cheating scenario, where a guy has actually been banned for life from racing pigeons. I mean, the kind of skullduggery we're talking about
and
here.
by the way, he's a champion.
He is.
He's a champion.
He was sending, what can you only describe as decoy pigeons to another country. Keeping some pigeons in this country and trying to sort of make it out that they were actually going from one country to another.
The allegation is that the pigeon he put up as the winner never left its cage. I mean, crikey, that's like Usain Bolt winning 100 metres and never coming out the locker room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very, very bizarre. But we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to talk to Lee Fribbins from the Racing Pigeon magazine about it, right? Very, very shortly. But another titan of the media business I met yesterday coming out of Joe Allen's.
Who was that?
A guy called Hugh Whitto.
Hugh, an old mate of mine.
Old mate of yours, old mate of mine. And he was staggered to see me. He didn't recognise me at all because he said, I didn't know you wore glasses. I haven't seen Hugh probably for 20 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, I told him, he said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm working at Talk Sport with Porky. And he went, he said, you just tell him from me. He's got a lot of, he's going to have a lot of bad things coming his way from me because he said, you know what happened?
Why?
He said, I read that piece in the Mail. He said all those years ago.
That's right.
Poor old Porky, he's on the brink of death. He's only 1/3 of his heart works.
Yeah, that's right.
And he said, I rang him up. He said, I thought, he's an old colleague of mine. I should ring him up. And he said, I said to him, is there anything I can do, Porky? Anything at all? And do you know what you said to him?
No.
You said, oh, Hugh, mate, I don't think there's anything you can do. I've only got a few months.
No, that's rubbish.
I've only got a few months.
That's rubbish.
That's what you said to him, right?
I never said that.
And he said to me, it's about 25, 30 years on. He's still alive.
Yeah.
He's not happy.
That's rubbish.
He's
I never told
happy.
anybody that.
That's what he said you told him.
You're
saying the editor of Daily Express is a liar.
No, I'm not saying he's a liar. I can't remember Hugh ringing me. But B, I was very, very stoking those. So I said, no, don't worry, I'm going to beat this.
No, that's not what you told him. He said he must have caught you at a bad time.
I think he's thinking of somebody else.
And so, as I said, to be honest, a large part of the show that we do, particularly on stage, but also sometimes on Talk Sport, is actually nothing wrong with him at all.
No,
Porky's absolutely fine.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Fittest man I've ever seen.
I saw Hugh after about 12 years, right? And I can tell you, he doubled in size.
Why are you having a go at him?
He used to be
Why having a go at him?
He was very attractive to women in his youth. He had this wonderful lilting Welsh accent. Hello, how are you? And do you know what he used to say to women when we used to meet them on jobs and all that? He says, oh, you girls, you don't know how lucky you are today. Oh, yeah. He's full of self-confidence.
His other great phrase, of course, was when he'd sort of done a whole load of different jobs, reporting onto war zones. He was the one famously that got fired from the Sun for not bringing back the donkey.
That's right.
Which they were trying to save from being dropped from a great height in Spain into a swimming pool. But anyway, that's another story. And he used to say, see, the thing is, mate, there's nothing left for me now. I've done it all.
I've done it
all. Anyway, let's talk to David, who's a Man United fan.
Indeed.
Because he's got something to say about his club. David, very good morning to you.
Morning, lads. You okay?
Yeah, very well, mate. What would you like to say?
Basically, this conversation is having. I don't think that Mourinho's wants to play for the players.
Hang on, mate. No, listen, I can't make out what you're
got a bad
saying.
line there.
We'll get a better line. We'll get you back in a second. Let's sort of Carl instead, who's a bit closer.
Yeah.
Guildford. Carl.
How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, very
pretty
well.
good, mate.
What would you like to say, mate?
I'd just like to have a point on the English players and how we're not bringing them through.
Yes.
And my theory on it would be that if we had a rule within the Premier League to have a certain amount of players, 4 or 5 English players, in our teams every week and through the leagues. You know, I'm a Charlton fan, and we've brought loads of English players through our academy. It would, 1, grow those academies. 2, it would give the managers a chance to manage English players, because I also believe that our managers for England aren't managing, although when they're at their club, they're not managing English players, they're managing foreign players.
That's
and when
true.
they come to getting the England job, we're not managing our players.
Yeah, but what came first, the chicken or the egg, Carl? They're not managing English players because the coaching system in this country doesn't produce young English players good enough to become Premier League players.
You see, that's where I disagree.
Well,
what do
the
you think,
system's
Carl?
wrong then.
Well, the system is wrong. That's what I'm telling you. Carl, what do you reckon?
I said we do produce them. I just don't think we're playing them.
Well, where are they? Where are they?
If we don't play them, how can we manage them?
Well, where are they, Carl? Where are these great young players then?
They're in the academies, and if our academies are producing them, we're not using them because we're buying in.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, there is not there's not a vicious plot in this country to say don't let any English players come through, always buy foreign players.
There isn't.
It's just more convenient to the management of a squad of players.
All right. So why bother even having academies? Why bother even bringing these kids in? Why don't you send them off and make them into rugby players or cricketers or something?
No, why not, as you quite rightly say, why not have a laissez-faire approach to football, and that instead of academies, kids should actually knock on the doors of clubs like they used to and say, I think I'm good enough to play for you. Right, give him a 1-hour trial, out on the training pitch there. Yes, he's okay.
Idea.
It's not a ridiculous idea.
Stupid
it's
idea.
Not. It worked better in those days.
Rubbish.
That's what produced, Tommy Lawton.
Yeah.
That's what produced...
Tommy Lawton.
Yeah,
really?
Bud Baston. That's what produced Dixie Dean.
No wonder you think Sam Allardyce is the way forward.
That's what produced Stanley Matthews.
No wonder.
Jimmy Greaves. Jeff
stop
Hurst.
it. Absolute rubbish. Let's talk to David. I think he's got a better line now. David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, thanks. Mike.
Yeah.
Okay,
sorry
Dave,
about
that's
that,
better.
mate. Now, listen, Porky thinks we should go back to the days of Tommy Lawton, of players running up to the front door of Manchester United and knocking on it and saying, can I play for you, please, sir?
That's what Duncan Edwards did.
I think I'm a bit too young for that, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
everybody's too young for
you're
that.
a bit too naive as well and dim.
That's a bit harsh.
What?
Personally, I just think with Mourinho, I don't think he can blame him for the players that he wants to get rid of.
Yes.
Yeah, but why were they there in the first place, David, if they never had any chance of getting in the first team? That's my question.
Yeah, I can understand that, but with the kids that they've got, there's some that can make the grade and there's some that can't. And the ones that can't make the grade are the ones that basically they're going to get rid of, that they're going to take on to another club, and hopefully they can make it at another club.
Another club, perhaps. Yeah. But, I mean, for every Marcus Rashford, it sounds to me that Man United have got maybe 10 or 15 other kids who are never going to make it.
But it's not just Rashford, I think. I think a couple of United fans will agree with me. That Forza Mensah as well. He's another good young player that can come through, and I think Mourinho's going to do it with him, and with that Bothwick Jackson as well.
Yeah. Do you know what I think? I think, Dave, that what we need to do is we need a more comprehensive second tier of football.
It's David, by the way.
David?
Yeah.
You don't mind me calling you Dave, do you, David?
That's fine.
That's fine. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, lucky star, didn't call you Steve.
Yeah, okay, Dave. What I'm saying is, why don't we establish a second tier of competitive football?
Oh, you mean like the B team?
Well, like an under-18 league. You see what I mean? And then that's what, because if you're up to speed with things, Dave, right now a debate's going on about whether or not clubs can enter under-18 teams in that new Football League trophy that's been taking place.
But do you remember when people said, let's have B teams where the youngsters can play and let them go through the Football League?
Yes.
You were one of the most vociferous voices against that.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
No, I wasn't.
You said you didn't want to see that.
No, I didn't say that at all.
Right.
I think that's a good idea, and I think it should be established.
Let me just ask David one final question, because he's good enough to call back. David, one final question. How excited are you about Jose Mourinho being there? Are you one of those in favour of him or not?
Yeah, and I've wanted him since the day Ferguson retired.
Of course you have. Of course you did. Yeah,
he was the one that wanted to be, and I think he's the one that's going to hopefully win us trophies.
Yes, that's a very sensible approach. Exactly what I said.
I didn't ask you what you said. I'm asking him.
Yeah, all right.
The other thing I was like to say as well, you know that you've got these smaller clubs, the lower league, like your Rochdale, your Oldhams, you know. I think teams like City, United, and even teams down south, like with the Chelsea's, you know, Arsenal, I think they should be helping the lower league teams with their youth. Letting them go in there on loan and letting them, because, you know, teams are struggling to back at the lower league.
Yeah, but that happens.
It's your time, by the way.
Yeah, that happens extensively, Dave. Believe me, young players being farmed out to on loan.
Do you mind if we stop now? David, thank you very much indeed for your call.
Dave, yeah.
We haven't got any time.
Yeah, but these people
we
need
haven't had a chance to
prompting.
talk about the pigeon.
Do you know what? A lot of people...
These people? What, you mean the people that call the show?
Are millions of very...
These people?
Are millions of very valued listeners, right? They know what they want to say, but sometimes just need a little tweak, a little push in the right direction.
They love ringing up being interrupted by you.
No.
They do. This is Talk Sport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The two mics on Talk Sport.
Don't mess with me.
I won't mess with you.
All right, pal, otherwise I'll take you back through history and beat you to death with my intellect.
That would take a long time. First you'd have to find it. Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the two mics. We've been in for Colin Murray all week. We've been talking about Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho. In this hour we're going to talk about pigeons because there's a massive scandal going on in the world of sport. It might not just be about the Olympics, where, by the way, they've had a corpse in the sailing arena the other day. Pictures of that in the papers, we'll get to that as well. We'll talk a bit about my trip to the hairdressers, or the blow bar, as it's more commonly known. And, of course, coming up later, it's the Porky quiz on the World Cup final of 1966. You're listening to the two mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. So tell us about this pigeon scandal, because there's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that have pigeons and race them, right? Well, it seems like quite a big business.
You know, pigeon fanciers, sometimes they're classified the same way as train spotters. People take the mickey out of them and say that they're, you know, the people with sad lives and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
This is not true.
That's not a nice thing to say.
Pigeon fancying has a huge role in the life of many British people, particularly in the north of England.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, Coronation Street, old Jack and his pigeons out in Jack and Vera, and Jack out in the backyard there with his pigeons all the time, okay? Yeah. Central part of the plot. Mike Tyson, the world's most famous pigeon fancier.
Fact, I was one of the first people to see him with his pigeons, because myself and Mickey Brennan went to do an interview with him before he was famous, actually, but he was beating somebody once a month under the tutelage of Crust D'Amato.
That's right.
And remember that famous picture of him holding a white dove against his naked chest?
That's right.
Was Mickey Brennan's award-winning picture.
Award-winning picture, and led you to a discussion with him about the fact that he started his career when some thug got up on the roof of his Brooklyn apartment block and damaged one of his pigeons.
Yeah, exactly.
He went up and beat him up.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
This guy who's been banned, though, was the reigning champion of the Tarbes National.
Well, let me tell you, Britain's top pigeon fancier has brought shame on his sport, cheating to win last week's Grand National of the Pigeon Flying World.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Pigeon Flying World.
Pigeon Flying World.
Is that what they call it?
Eamon Kelly, 52, reigning champion. He won the Tarbes National, which is the equivalent of the Grand National, last year, but this year resorted to foul play to retain his coveted crown.
See what they did there.
Guess what he did? He allegedly, and he stepped down, by the way, and resigned, so one accepts that he has held his hands up to this disgraceful behaviour. He actually gerrymandered the whole competition to keep his award-winning birds in their cage and sent a false set of pigeons down to the start of the race.
A full set of pigeons?
Yes.
Is that what they call them?
Yeah, a flock.
Set?
False flock.
A flock?
Yeah, the false flock. The flocking flock who were down there in France.
Right.
Yeah, they come from Tarbes in France.
And he took them in a lorry.
Took them in a lorry.
Which is even more amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, don't you think if you were driving a lorry full of pigeons, somebody might suspect that you were up to no good?
Yeah, he registered 14 birds for the race, but kept them in his loft while sending another set out to France on a lorry with 2,200 other pigeons.
Yeah.
Do you know the thing that most amazed me? Do you know why he got caught?
How did he get caught?
He just misjudged the average time of the birds flying back.
Right.
He put it down as 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
In fact,
it's very fast, isn't it?
Well, I couldn't believe it. And I thought, well, there's no wonder. But the average flight of the birds come back was 39.2 miles an hour, and they couldn't work out why his pigeon was a full 0.8 miles an hour, which is quite substantial in the pigeon world, faster than the rest. So they went and examined the details and found they weren't the same birds.
Imagine if he got banned for life from pigeon racing.
Well, I think he has.
Well, yeah,
At
I know.
the moment he
well,
has.
he's facing that, but I mean, it's an incredible thing to have to. If you're a pigeon fancier, What's he going to do with all his pigeons?
Well, you have to give them away or sell them, I suppose.
Give them away?
Or gas them or something like that.
Gas
I don't know.
them?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to, but I would imagine...
You don't want to?
Well, no. You see...
I mean, that would really be foul play.
No. I think what you'll find, Mike, I know a bit about this because I come from the north of England. A lot of people around there got pigeons.
Did you ever have pigeons?
No, but I knew people who had.
I mean, you see the pigeons in London, you wouldn't fancy them flying further than about 5 feet.
There was an old fella,
Most
I'm not
of them
joking.
got broken wings.
There's an old fella about 3 or 4 doors down in Laurel Grove, Chester.
What was his name?
Oh, I've no idea.
Why not?
He was so old then, I didn't even know his name then. But
You don't know his name because he's old?
He had a pigeon loft in his backyard.
Did he?
And my mum used to complain about the cuckoo.
Oh, yeah, the trilling.
Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Cuckoo, so she often wanted me to throw water over them. But, yeah, that's right, yeah.
You
but
live the sort of life of a miscreant.
No. But anyway, he used to let the pigeons go and they'd flutter off on a Sunday and then they'd come back later and all that kind of stuff, So it's very popular. But the point I was going to make...
It says here 42,000 pigeon fanciers in the UK.
Unbelievable.
Should we not get some of them on the phone?
Well, we'd like to speak to them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a number.
Give us a number. Go on.
I mean, fly this way quick.
So happy he knows the number.
Well, absolutely. Of course I know the number.
Have you been memorising it?
Yeah. I've been memorising it. It is it's 08717 223344.
Well done.
Now, get on to us if you're aware of this terrible chicanery within the pigeon fancying world. But the reason he might have to gas them no, Mike, this is serious.
He won't gas them.
He might have to. Because when you have a flock of pigeons, they are very personal to you. They know your voice. They know your instructions.
Yeah.
For instance, when you want to give a pigeon the right tactics for the race...
Tactics?
Yeah, before you let it go, you might...
It's a sort of a Mercedes deal going on here.
No, seriously.
With the Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton of the pigeon world.
No, before you let it go...
Team orders.
Yeah, seriously, you either go to your pigeon, or you go... You give it instructions, you see.
That's a very odd noise.
No, well, that's what they do. I've seen this old fellow 3 doors away do it.
Yeah.
And then the pigeon knows, what sort of tactic to employ, like whether to go in a straight line or go in a circle or something like that.
I don't think they go in a circle, do they?
Well, the curvature of the earth, you see, and all this kind of stuff. What height?
What sort of height do they fly at, then?
I think they fly at about, you can usually see them, so it's probably a few hundred feet, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the expert.
I think so. But
apparently
anyway,
one of them was sold to a Chinese shipping boss for 200,000.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? So what I'm saying...
Can you bet on it, then?
Oh, I don't know about that. I've never heard of people betting on pigeons. But anyway, the point I'm making is, if those pigeons aren't yours anymore, you can't give them away to anybody else because they won't accept instructions from anything human.
Sure about that.
No, they won't.
You probably transfer them.
And what's more, if you release them into the wild, they'll all get massacred by hawks and things like that.
Hawks,
yes,
yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
Well, let's talk to John, who apparently knows a bit about pigeon fancy.
Excellent.
John, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah, hi, John.
What can you tell us, John? Is anything Porky's saying true?
He has. A lot of what he's saying is absolutely true.
Really? Thank you.
I mean, I've been around pigeons all my life. My father's a pigeon fancier.
Yes.
And I don't actually fly them myself because I haven't got enough time. But but it is a very competitive sport.
Yes. And were you shocked when you heard, we revealed this to you, that people go so far as to literally plan in great detail how to win a race by not even flying their pigeons?
It's not the first time.
Is that right?
Do you know? Have you heard of this guy? This guy who's the world champion.
What was his name? Sorry,
his name is
Eamon Kelly.
Earlier. No, I don't actually. But it's not the first time that we've known pigeons to be drugged. With steroids. Yeah.
God, I mean, is there money in it or something? Is
that why? Very competitive.
Why would you put? I mean, what does a pigeon on steroids look like?
Yeah.
A golden eagle.
I've never seen one, unfortunately, but or fortunately, should I say? But I mean, there's a race that's in South Africa where you buy into the race, and there's thousands of pigeons, and you buy into the race.
Yeah.
So they all come out of one loft.
Yes.
And I believe that the prize money is £1 million.
£1 million quid?
So,
you should get into it, Porky.
We should get into
it.
$1
million race.
Yeah. Blimey.
And
that's amazing.
Are there drug testing facilities for these sort of races?
No.
Well, shouldn't there be? I mean, if you've got all these pigeons psyched up on, on Benylin and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
I bet they give them Benylin.
What do they give them?
Well, Benylin's like it's a sort of got morphine in it, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
you want them hopped up, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose
you want to give them something to kind of get them going. Let's talk to Mr. Holker, who's in Manchester. Mr. Holker, very good morning to you.
Morning.
Yeah, what have you got to tell us about pigeons, man?
Pigeon racing is a very, very big sport in Europe and all around the world.
Really?
I mean, if you are a pigeon racing a man, how much money can you look to make on any given year?
We've spent $3,500 on one pigeon.
$3,500?
That's nothing. That's nothing in the pigeon sport.
Right.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate.
But what sort of prize money? What sort of prize money would a $3,500 bird pick up for you?
What sort of money? This guy who's been so-called caught cheating won 2 nationals last year and he won a motor car.
He won a motor car for running the national? That's not bad. What sort of motor car?
I'm not quite sure what it was, but me and my brother won a national in 1997 and we also won a motor car.
You won a motor car?
What kind of car did you get, Mr. Holker?
A Fiat Punto.
A Fiat Punto. Tremendous.
Yeah, I love
That's
it.
great.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic, honestly. So clearly...
What about this business of the pigeons not being able to listen to anybody but the man that owns them? I mean, Porky's reckoning here that these pigeons might have to be gassed.
Listen, there is drug testing that goes on in pigeon racing.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, pigeons do get drug tested.
Right.
So what? They select a pigeon and they say, right, bring your pigeons into the drug testing.
Random drug testing for pigeons.
Laboratory, yeah, I see. Well, I didn't... Go on.
What they do, they have a committee who go round, they take the pigeon droppings and they take blood samples as well.
What?
Well, they know which one's done
it. The committee?
How do they know which one's done the droppings, though?
Well, because they'll put it in a box and wait till it does a dropping.
Oh, I see.
I see.
There you go.
Yeah,
see, they're quite clever.
That's
Mr. Holker, fascinating stuff. Thank you very much
thank
indeed.
you very much indeed.
Amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing.
Amazing
what a
world.
What a world. We've opened a right can of worms here, haven't we?
Can of worms,
I don't suppose they eat worms, do they, pigeons? They're probably too sophisticated.
What do you think they eat?
They eat pigeon feed.
Pigeon feed.
You know, like you see...
I've never seen that sold anywhere.
No, you know, like you see a horse with a horse bag on its face.
A horse bag?
Pigeons have pigeon feed.
Do you mean a nose bag?
A nose bag, that's right. That's right, nose bag, yeah. Well, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not quite, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
you know...
what a ruthless world, the world of pigeon fancying is.
Absolutely extraordinary stuff.
I'm glad I'm not in it.
Extraordinary stuff. You can tell us any more about pigeons, by all means, give us a ring. 08717 22 33
That's right. Now, remember, please, this is the two mics. We are standing in. No, we're not actually. We're sitting in or filling in.
We're sitting in, yeah.
Filling in for Colin Murray.
In Scotland, that means you're actually sitting in as opposed to taking away in a restaurant.
What do you mean?
I
see. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's when first time I went to Northern Ireland. Somebody said, "Do you want this as a carry-out?"
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But it was an off licence, and they said,
"Of course, it was an off licence."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So we're the two mics. Okay, we're filling in for Colin Murray on Talk Sport with Wicks. Let me tell you about the half price on selected tiling and flooring, with an extra 15% across the range when you buy online. This fantastic offer ends on August the 2nd.
Thank you very much indeed. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are of the two mics. The Porky quiz coming up a little bit later on the World Cup, of course, in 1966. Right now, though, we're going to talk a bit of cricket because, Mr. Parry, you may not know this, but coming up is going to be the third test at Edgbaston between England and Pakistan.
Well, of course I know
next week. It's one apiece at the moment, isn't it? We're going to talk, of course, to Stuart Broad, who's one of our great heroes of the game. Stuart, very good morning to you.
Morning, how are you?
Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Stuart. So far it's 1-1. A lot of criticism of that first test, but the second test, England kind of ran away with it, didn't they?
Yeah, I think, the thing that's very positive about that from a side, you're allowed to make mistakes, and I think we were a bit naive at Lords. We were certainly outskilled by Pakistan, but we learned a huge amount going into Old Trafford, and the way we played Yazir Shah at Old Trafford, led by our two senior batsmen in Root and Cook, was fantastic.
Right.
Played very straight, didn't play across the line, waited for the bad ball. I think that was the example of how to play, and it was a very convincing win in the end. But yeah, 1-1 going into 2 games to go. It's an exciting series.
It's very exciting at all. Stu, when you are witnessing history in the making, you're actually on the same pitch as Joe Root, scoring, record knocks. It must inspire the whole team, not just Joe Root. I mean, you must feel, wow, look at the sort of company I'm working in here.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to have a few moments like that where when Cookie passed 10,000 runs, it was one of those moments you sit in the change room and go, I'm proud to play with a guy who's scored that many runs and had that much influence on the game of cricket. But
yes.
It's hard to look past that knock from Joe Root as one of the best I've watched, because it was the tempo of it. He didn't really play a risky shot at all.
Sure.
He knew his scoring areas. He stayed very calm throughout, but still scored at an exciting rate. It really was a.
And that must be very hard to do at that kind of level of cricket as well, where the bowlers are trying to figure it out. No, but what I'm saying is that particularly when the bowlers at this kind of level are going, where are we going to catch his weakness? Where are we going to make him commit himself, make a mistake? He must. I mean, the concentration alone must be very, very hard.
But also to get to 130 or 150 and not think might try and hit this one out the ground straight, or not get carried away. It was the way he set his stall out to bat huge and get a real big first innings. I mean, look, we got a little bit lucky winning the toss. I think that was a huge toss to win at Old Trafford because the pitch was only going to deteriorate and become harder to bat. But once we had got that bit of luck, the way we executed the whole game was the example of how to play Test match cricket. And we've got to take that forward to Edgbaston. I mean, we've got a great record at Edgbaston. The crowd is absolutely incredible there, gets right behind us. The memories of knocking the Aussies over there last summer will be very fresh in our minds, so we'll go there with a lot of confidence.
Absolutely. And conversely, Stu, to Joe Root's great knock, when you produce dazzling figures, you're on the other end of that equation, aren't you? You then are contributing a lot more to the side than just your own individual performance. Your teammates take inspiration from that, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great thing about sport, but particularly cricket. You do have these moments where you can grab the game as an individual and say, right, let's go and get 100, or let's try and bowl some wicket-taking deliveries. You've got to take a risk. You might go for some fours, but it's a game that you can really grab by the scruff of the neck, and if it's your day, make some telltale signs. But I mean, that's what's great about this England team at the minute. We've got individuals throughout the side that, if it's their day, they can win the game for us. And Chris Wokes is in one of those streaks at the minute that his confidence is high. He's flying and he's picking up wickets every time he grabs the ball. But we've got guys throughout that have got this ability to make it their day, and when they do, we're going to be very hard to beat.
That's right. And Stu, do you think that's why? Because the contrast between cricket and football, if in football, if England played West Germany 4 times, it wouldn't be more than about 1-0 for either team, or 2-1. Whereas in cricket, if you get your game right on the day or over 4 days, you can actually smash an opponent who's been smashing you 10 days earlier, can't you?
Yeah, and that's why I love the sport, because do you know what? Even if you've had 2 bad days in a test match, if you win a session, it drags you right back into that game. And my mum's always, she texts me pretty much every day saying, never give up, do it, make sure that you stay in the game. And it's so important because you have a magic 2 hours from 2 people in a game. And it drags you right back into it. And that's something that we're learning. We're still quite an inexperienced team. So I think you get that confidence from actually having done it in the past. So Old Trafford was about a complete performance.
Indeed.
We should drag a lot of momentum into Edgbaston.
Indeed. Well, very best of luck with that, Stu. We're all watching you, hoping for you, rooting for you. Thank you very much indeed.
See what you did there. Very nice. Why don't you call him Stu? Thanks, Stuart. Why don't you call him Stu, by the way?
Because that's his name.
Stuart is his name.
Yeah, but, Stu. I mean, what's wrong with you? Why are you telling me I can't tell David Dave?
Well, because
I can't tell Stuart Stu.
Yeah, because people have names that, like, for example, would you like me to call you Mick?
No, because my name is not Mick, it's Michael, but lots of people call me Mike.
Yeah, but Mick is also short for Michael.
It's not.
What's it short for then?
Mike is the abbreviation of Michael. Mick is just some name which is usually applied to people who are dim.
Well, like Mick Shannon.
Mick Jagger excused, and Mick Shannon excused, OK?
And Mick Hucknell?
Mick Hucknell excused, OK?
So that's the first 3 out the window then.
Yeah.
Loving Pigeon Gate today, boys, says Steve. Why would you buy a couple of £3,000 pigeons to win a £6,000 Fiat Punto?
No, that sounds
says Michael.
Sounds all very odd, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit strange. There's a couple of great pictures coming in. One of a pigeon on steroids, which looks very, very unusual indeed. I can't really describe it, but it looks about 8 feet tall.
It would.
And Jim says, I'm pretty sure Pigeons on Benlin were one of John Peel's favourite bands. That's quite good.
Yeah, it is quite good, that, yeah. It's they've got one here. This is a great image. He's looking for his Punto keys. He's got a pigeon with sunglasses on, smoking a cigarette and flapping around like he's a pigeon superstar.
Yeah, and Trigger says...
And there are pigeon superstars.
Yeah, apparently so. It'd be the Russian pigeons that I'd be testing, he says. which I suppose is fairly appropriate.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to the Olympics. We might talk about that in a little while. We've still got loads more to do, by the way,
Certainly
including leading up to the Porky quiz on the World Cup from 1966. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, of course. We've been talking about Pigeon Gate, as it's now being called. This guy possibly facing a life ban after cheating during the course of a pigeon race between here and France.
Well, it's the pigeon race. I mean, it is the Grand National
Well, it's
of
not the
pigeon
one.
racing.
Yeah, well, hang on. We've already been told by one caller that there's one in South Africa where the prize money's £1 million.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you know, or indeed you could win a Fiat Punto if you're really doing well in this country. Let's talk to Adam, who's an Arsenal fan, because he's got a pigeon story for us as well. Adam, very good morning to you.
Yeah, best friend of mine walking past Tesco's one day. A pigeon drops out of the sky, lands on the pavement.
What, like a dead pigeon?
No, it was alive, but well out of breath. And my mates picked it up.
Out of breath?
Yeah, it was a bit sort of worse for wear.
Fatigued? Fatigued?
Yeah, a bit fatigued.
Yeah.
So he's nursed it back to a bit of health, took it home, and he had a number on his little claw and what have you.
Yeah.
So we've found a number, located it to a...
What, a phone number, you mean?
It had a phone number and a little club number, which we then learned that there's a lot of pigeon clubs around the country.
Right.
Now, we're based in North London. The pigeon itself fell out of the sky just around North London. We phoned the number, and the guy from Liverpool...
Liverpool?
Liverpool. He was very eager to get this bird back, which he had let go in France, and due to the bad weather, it had gone off course.
Yeah.
It turned out this pigeon was worth about £20,000 to £30,000, and it was a top racing pigeon.
You're joking.
So what happened then?
Well, the guy, got down from Liverpool to London literally overnight, straight away, to collect this pigeon, and it left us a bit gobsmacked to how much these pigeons are actually worth.
But did he tell you it was worth 20 grand?
He said it was worth 20 to 30,000. It was one of these top racing breeding pigeons.
Wow,
and he was really thankful for us looking after
And what did he give you as a reward, Adam?
Funny enough, he didn't give my friend nothing. But
You're
my friend,
joking.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
not a single bean.
Good God.
But,
you could have kidnapped it.
Back to health.
You should have. Once he told you it was worth 30 grand, you should have said, but hang on.
You can't steal somebody's pigeon and sell it.
Hang on. If you'd had it for a week, you could have said there's a care charge.
We only had it overnight, Mike. We only had it overnight.
Yeah, you could have said there's a care charge of £1,000. You know, we brought it back to life.
Is that what you would have done?
Do that, not to someone's pet, but just surprising what they're worth, Mike.
It certainly is, Adam. That's a great story, mate. Thank you very much indeed for letting us know.
I need to know a bit more about this.
Please do.
So, I mean, was there any point at which, when you had the conversation with the guy from Liverpool, that you thought, is this guy just winding me up here, and he's going to jump on a train or drive down? Did he drive down in a Fiat Punto, by the way?
No, he didn't have a Punto, Mike, no. But what he did do, I mean, he was really eager to get it back. Apparently, the pigeon had gone off course. He'd let it go in France, on the DE and the celebrations over in France, and it got lost on the bad weather.
Yeah.
And he just told us to feed it a bit of water with a little bit of sugar in it so he can get his strength back up. And he came straight down from Liverpool, as I say, first thing the next morning to collect it. He was very eager.
Just imagine as he rushed out the house and his wife saying, "Where you going, Billy? Where you going?" I'm going to get me pigeon. Going to get me pigeon. Yeah.
But, I mean, Adam, listen, thanks very much. I presume that must be one of the kind of the perils of owning pigeons. Is that, if you send them all out, not all of them come back.
Not all come back.
A bit like the old Spitfire scenario.
I counted them out and I counted them in.
That's what I mean.
Fortunately, there were no casualties.
I mean, if they're actually worth 20 to 30,000 apiece...
Why don't people kidnap them?
I don't think you'd let them go, would you?
Well, if I'd had a pigeon worth 30 grand, so let's take a mean average, 25,000, and I'd rung up the bloke, because I've got your pigeon. Oh, thank God, it's worth 20. I said, well, you're going to have to pay me a considerable sum to get it back.
Yeah.
I want 10% of the value of the bird,
But you
please.
see, that's the kind of person you are.
Well, it's the kind of person most people are.
I mean, some people
he wouldn't have got his pigeon back unless he'd paid me.
Some people would make a pie out of it.
Well, you wouldn't do that. That's cruel and heartless.
What do you mean cruel and heartless?
Well, because it's obviously a magnificent creature. It's a top racing pigeon.
No, but I'm not talking about a pigeon that you would just find like that. I'm talking about, have you ever eaten like wood pigeon or anything like that?
I think I've had pigeon pie.
Have you?
I'm pretty sure I have.
Where?
Well, funny enough, there used to be a pub down in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, called the Pigeon Pear.
The Pigeon Pear?
Or was it the Pigeon Pie? It's now called the Kingswood Arms. No, it's the Kingswood Arms.
I'm not surprised. It's not a great name for a pub, that, the Pigeon Pie.
I think it's the Pigeon Pear.
Pear?
Yeah,
what, P-A-I-R?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think
as in two of them?
Yeah, exactly. I think pigeons sort of roost in pairs, you see what I mean? It's like a country expression. And a lot of footballers, Premier League footballers, live all around there.
Like that weird one you go to called the something rub, right?
No, there's something. Oh no, that's the Rubbing House on the edge of Epsom Downs. No, but anyway, look, this pigeon world that we've uncovered this morning is a fascinating,
vast,
and complicated,
very complicated
scenario,
and very monetarily rewarding.
Monetarily rewarding, millions of pounds.
Incredible. Now, talking of pubs, right? Have you seen this story that Lord Ahmed is apparently going to examine how alcohol is sold in airports?
Who's Lord Ahmed?
Lord Ahmed is the guy who's been put in charge of it.
Why?
Well, he's part of the government's kind of, task force on alcohol.
Thing. I see. Yeah. Well, it is a big problem, I have to admit, when I saw the details.
What, you mean trying to get a drink at an airport?
No, getting a drink at an airport's no problem. What then is the problem is people who can't control the amount of imbibement they take part in.
Apparently 442 people who were held on suspicion of being drunk at an airport or on a plane.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. But you know what it's all about.
Funny enough, you haven't been flying that much, have you?
I haven't been flying that much, you're absolutely right. What happens is the expansion of stag do's and hen nights now going overseas.
Yeah.
It's caused a huge problem. You put that together with cheap flights, budget airlines and that kind of stuff. Now, not everybody who gets on a budget airline is going out to a stag do in Prague.
No.
Some of them might be going out on business.
Some of us going on holiday.
Some going on holiday, some going to see family, particularly if there's a movement to Labour around Europe now, that there is. So the last thing you want is some leery, drunken, slobbish individual, leaning over.
He's the guy that runs Ryanair, isn't he?
Yeah, leaning over your seat and trying to talk to his mate who's one away from you or two away from him, that kind of stuff. And then arguing with the beautiful hostesses about more drink, give me more drink.
What difference does it make how beautiful they are?
Well, because I'm just trying to paint the scene inside an aircraft like this sort of thing. And
there are some men now involved in air crew.
Of course there are, yes. Very decent chaps.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing you want, so it doesn't surprise me at all. Why don't they invent like booze cruise type aeroplane
What do you mean?
trips?
What, for drunks?
Just for drunks, yeah.
You can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't encourage people.
Staff. You can have special staff on board.
You can't encourage people to get drunk.
People are always going to get drunk if they're going out on a stag night or a hen do and all that. Why not have the stag night hen do specials and literally...
Why don't you just lock them in the plane and not go anywhere?
Well, you do the equivalent of that.
They all
you
fall asleep.
Put them on the plane, you let them have as much booze as they want, you get them to the other end.
Oh, you know what you could also do? You could also lead them down one of those long sort of walkways so that if they think they're getting on a plane,
yeah,
just
to
put them in
nowhere.
a cell.
Yeah, or something like
and
that.
Lock them up.
No, but I think people should be allowed to enjoy themselves if they go.
Well, as ever,
on
you see, what's going to end up happening, and this is what happens when government interferes in places where they shouldn't, is that because of a few rowdy miscreants, right, what we end up with is a situation where you and I, who are just going off on a flight maybe up to Glasgow to do a show,
banned.
or we're going up to Edinburgh to do the Edinburgh Festival, right?
Yeah.
You know, I would like to have a glass of champagne before I get on the plane. Yeah. But if all these idiots... Sorry, am I boring you?
No, of course you're not.
Oh, okay, just checking.
You don't bore me. I just have to keep a close, mental observation faculty on what you're saying. But no,
the thing is, I want to have a glass of champagne. What I don't want is to be told, I'm sorry, sir, you can't have a drink because of all these idiots over here who don't know how to hold their liquor.
I totally agree. I mean, there is a bit of a class difference here, because if you go into if I'm flying business class and I go into the old lounge, the BA lounge at Heathrow.
Yeah, but you can't do that if you're just going to Edinburgh.
Or JFK. No, of course you can't.
I mean, unless you're going BA, in which case you're mad.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But what I'm saying is, you can drink as much as you want before you get on that plane. When you get on that plane, you sit down.
You say
you
that
can drink
now,
as much as you want on the plane.
You say that now, but actually I think they're much more conscious now of the state that you're in. I mean, like I was telling you the story of the guy who wasn't allowed on a boat.
That's right.
Doesn't matter where you've been.
Yeah, but I've never been like that. I've never been in a state getting onto an aeroplane. Well, I've never been banned from getting on an aeroplane.
No, but I think you'll find that now they're much tighter on it.
Well, maybe, but I still wouldn't get banned. I don't become insensible in the hours before I get on an aeroplane.
No, quite.
No, I don't.
No, I've never seen it.
No,
you're
exactly.
quite right. We are the two mics. We're in for Colin Murray on TalkSport with Wix. It's half price on selected tiling and flooring with an extra 15% across the range when you buy online. The offer ends August the 2nd. This is TalkSport. We are the two mics, of course. Watch of the day has gone out, so if you want to go and have a look on Twitter, you can see Porky Parry's Rolex.
It's my Rolex. A
lot of people are doubting that it is actually a Rolex, but I'll read you some tweets out in a moment.
Yeah.
But of course, a bit earlier on today, we were able to release a video that was shot very expertly by Matt, our man who is Deputy Supremo here at TalkSport.
Yeah.
Not TalkSport overall, but just on this particular show.
Exactly.
Because we paid a very pleasant visit, did we not?
Yes.
To the the Blow Bar round the back of Liverpool Street Station.
Indeed.
So why don't you tell us about it?
Well, it's run by a wonderful young lady called Sarah Jane Millwall.
Yes.
And what we decided was that your hair has been causing me problems for years.
Right.
In the sense, well, it looks wild. You always look like you've been dragged through a hedge backwards. And what Sarah Jane has done is started a business whereby during the day you can go in there for half an hour with your hair a mess and come out and you look like you've been to a French salon for a number of hours.
Well, luckily,
it's brilliant.
Luckily, Sarah Jane's on the phone now, so you can say hello to her.
Sarah Jane, good afternoon or good morning?
Good
even?
morning.
No, it's good morning.
Hello,
Seems like
guys.
afternoon. Great to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed. Just tell us initially, what sort of a challenge was it to turn the unreconstructed pull through a hedge backwards type colleague of mine, Mike Graham, from what he was into what you made him?
I think you're being a little bit unfair, Mike. It wasn't as challenging as what I was expecting, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I
Why?
think by the time... Well, I mean, there was a lot more hair than I had anticipated.
There certainly is, yeah.
Yeah, certainly a lot more hair than Porky's got on his head.
Excuse me, I keep mine cut closely.
I seem to remember, Sarah, that you described my hair as beautiful.
Your hair is very beautiful, soft, bouncy. It was a hairdresser's dream.
Soft, bouncy.
Yeah, so you're jealous now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not getting jealous at all.
Really?
Tell me, Sarah, where did you get this idea from for this business? Because during the course of a delightful couple of hours with you, you told us you're already expanding.
I am indeed. I've just opened up my second salon in Aldgate on Alley Street.
Oh.
And the idea is really simple. It's something that's been around for a long time in America, but where my salons are situated is in the city.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of very time-poor, busy executive women, or even not executive, women around that need to have their hair styled.
Right.
And that's a service we provide. So we're quick, we're efficient, and we're open 24/7.
Now, have you had a chance to look at? Have you had a chance to look at a video yet, Sarah?
I was literally looking at it just before I came on
good, isn't it?
air to talk to you now. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, good, okay. Now, the whole idea is you don't actually cut the hair. You just wash it, blow dry, in and out. How long does that take?
So our motto is you're not cheating on your hairdresser. It's just a little quickie.
Yeah.
So it's anything from 20 minutes to half an hour. And, you're in and you're out.
Okay. And when you saw the
Very
results...
fulfilling as well, I have to tell you.
Exactly.
Very fulfilling.
When you saw the result of your work on my colleague Mike Graham, what was your overall impression of what you'd done?
Well, it wasn't just my impression. I think there was about 3 or 4 ladies that came knocking on my door after asking who the handsome man was. Yeah.
Oh, come off it.
See, Porky was hoping you would come on here, Sarah, and completely mess me up. But in fact, it's backfired on you as usual, Porky.
No.
Because you have no idea how to treat women.
Yeah. Do you know what he's been talking about ever since, Sarah? He's been talking about the finger massage of his scalp.
Yeah, that was great.
Now, is this part of your treatment?
Yes, exactly. The finger massage, if that's what you want to call it.
The finger massage. Well, we're all coming back for one of them, I can tell you. That sounds very invigorating.
Trouble is, if she starts massaging,
Trouble
is, if she starts massaging your head, right? There's nothing in it, so it would just be this kind of echo effect. That noise would come rattling out of it.
Sarah Jane,
what
don't
about
take any notice.
Sarah? Were you shocked when Mr. Parry demanded to have a glass of Bucks Fizz and then another refill, despite the fact that he didn't drink champagne, apparently?
Well, I offered and everyone kind of accepted, and then a few moments later it was demanded. So, of course.
Shocking behaviour.
I was having to go through the ordeal of watching my friend being transformed from
I'm not your friend.
Ugly ape.
You said I was your friend.
Ugly ape to slightly better looking on ugly ape. Sarah Jane, the next thing I want to talk to you about is not only did we come out of there with a new man hairstyle, but an invitation to a party.
Why are you putting that out on the radio?
Tell us about it, please.
You don't want everybody to go to the party.
Well, I haven't said where it is, have I?
No, don't announce that. You're such a plank.
Sarah, would you like to continue, please?
Well, I am having a launch party. It's a very soft launch, and it's just going to be having a few people come and see my fantastic new salon. I'm a little bit excited, so it's more of a celebration of expanding so quickly.
Right.
And to celebrate my team, I've got a fantastic team of hairstylists working for me.
Are you going to have a security guy on the door, by any chance?
Well, after now, you just announced it on the radio.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah,
and I think what you should do is show him a picture of Porky from the video and say, please do not admit this man, because if you give him too much to drink, he becomes a right nuisance.
It's a bit hard.
You guys are the VIPs. I told you, the 4 women that came knocking on the door, they're going to be wanting to see you.
Yeah, they're after me.
Yeah, they don't want to see you, though, Porky.
They're after me. They're after me.
They're all taller than you as well.
So
there's a great bit in the video. The bit I like the most of the video series where you and Porky standing next to each other. You're about 3 inches taller than him.
Well, that's because Sarah Jane had high heels on, and I don't wear high heels.
Yes, you do.
You do.
Yeah, you do.
You idiot. Sarah Jane, I want to thank you very much indeed for giving over your time to talk to us today. Thank you.
It was a pleasure to see you, and hopefully we'll see you next week. We won't mention where it is, but
Indeed,
give us a quick. You give a free plug for your place in Artillery Road. Tell us how to get there.
So, Artillery Road, it's at the bottom of Artillery Lane, a few minutes from Liverpool Street, and we're situated there. Second one is on 73 Alley Street.
Okay.
And we're open from 7 till 7.
Right, and what's the name of it?
It's Blow Dry Express.
Blow Dry Express. Brilliant stuff. See you soon, Sarah.
Sarah Jane. Best of luck.
Guys. Have a good day.
Yeah,
Bye.
Best of luck with your business.
See, you are unbelievable.
Young
You're
people like that.
You're an absolute disgrace.
Why?
Because you're trying to make her say nasty things about me, but it all backfired on you.
No, it didn't.
Said I had beautiful hair.
No.
She said these women came in later and said who was that handsome man just leaving. You see, it's all
saying
backfired on you.
She's saying that to try
It's all backfired on you.
balm your ego, you know. I mean, it's utterly
There's nothing wrong with my ego.
Well, I tell you what, I was standing around all the time you were getting done. I didn't see any women rushing down Alley Street, or whatever it was called.
That's because you don't notice people like that.
Artillery Street, whatever it was.
You were too busy trying to find out where the next pub was.
No, I wasn't at all.
Really?
I did find it, actually.
You did actually, didn't you?
Yeah. No. What I need to talk to you about, right?
Well, let me read you a few of these watch tweets that have come in. How's one from Stocky? Says, need a few links in that, Mike Parry. It looks like you're missing a few links, which we've said for a long time. Yeah. Gold and silver, just like his beard. Look, it's Porky's purchase on the Benidorm Promenade. Phil says the date's wrong. It's a nice copy, though, nevertheless. He says he reckons it cost 50 lira from Turkey.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Andy says, top-of-the-range Rolex there from 1970. Jamie says it looks like it came out of a cracker.
No, it didn't.
And he said, Wilson says it's about as fake as Porky's hair colour in that successful satellite sports TV station phase.
How long? How ridiculous.
What colour was your hair during that period?
Which period?
The satellite sports TV station phase.
It was Auburn.
Auburn?
Yeah, Auburn.
Right.
Yeah.
Not silver.
Yeah. Here, I want it for Andrew. Well, OK, Porky, I think that's a very nice watch. Definitely would wear that on a night out to impress the fairer sex. So there you go.
Here's one from David. Says Rolex, more like Bolex. I know what he means. This is Top Sport.
Perry here says entry-level Rolex. Every plastic millionaire has got one.
Yeah.
Expected better from Porky.
Yeah, you see? It's all over.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The Two Mics on Talk Sport.
I enjoy a packet of peanuts with a pint of shandy.
I know where you're coming from.
Now, I want to know what the peanuts are first. So people think I'm mad. I go into the pub and say, hi, how you doing? What can I get you, sir? I said, well, first of all, what sort of peanuts do you sell?
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to Two Mics, we're in for Colin and Murray. Coming up in this hour, of course, we've got the Porky Quiz. It is that time of the week, and
Indeed.
it's, for many people, the favourite time of the week.
Yes.
And it's on because it's the 50th anniversary, of course, of the World Cup,
Indeed.
1966.
Yes.
With apologies to some of our Scottish listeners who might say, you know, they're always going on about it, they just never stop going on about it.
True.
But, you know, unfortunately, it is the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, not unfortunately, really, fortunately, actually.
Yes.
So we are going to be talking about it, and we will be talking to Andy Pearce, who's the curator of the National Football Museum as well. 08717 22 33 444. Have a look at Porky's watch of the day as well. Many of you don't think it's a real Rolex. I can tell you, I think that it is a real Rolex because you can tell by the way the second hand goes around, can't you?
Have you taken another picture of the full face of it?
I'll put out a close-up picture of
not
not your face.
Immediately,
not
please.
of your face, but of the face
of
the
the
watch,
Rolex, because I don't want people telling me I've got a lucky bag Rolex.
Well, maybe you have. You never know.
haven't.
You're listening to Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course.
Yeah.
I was looking, funnily enough, at a big piece in one of the papers today, all about the team that played in the World Cup
it's
in 1966.
quite amazing stuff.
Because one of the things that's been interesting, I think, and we'll ask our friend at the Football Museum about this, because you've actually got, have you not, a piece of memorabilia which you were going to share with the audience as well.
I bought this about 12 years ago, actually, and I have a sort of a mild interest in football memorabilia, mostly based actually on Everton stuff. I've got a letter from Dixie, handwritten letter from Dixie Dean. Got Wayne Rooney's first boots at Everton and that sort of stuff, And when I was looking around, I came across this bloke who said, "Do you want to have a look at this?" And it's a montage of all 12 signatures of 11 players and Alf Ramsey. Bobby Moore's is on a first day issue letter from Wembley Post Office on the day, July the 30th, 1966. And I was told it's unique. That there isn't another montage of all, and then there's a picture of all the players, obviously lifting the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I bought that for about £2,500 actually, about 2002.
Right.
And I thought that will appreciate in value until somebody really wants it in 2016, the 50th anniversary. And I got it valued a couple of weeks ago, and it's worth half of that.
It's worth less. And why is that then?
Well, I don't know, and this is why I'm going to be so interested to talk to Andy Pearce, who's the curator of the National Football Museum. I just wonder, what, we've been commemorating the Battle of the Somme quite recently, 100 years. Massive events which have shaped this country.
Yeah.
And I believe that the World Cup victory in '66 was a massive event that shaped our country. But the thing is, Mike, I don't see us getting overexcited about it.
Do you think
and
it's
I wonder
because
why.
it was... I mean, clearly there's a difference in terms of time as well. I mean, 50 years in the world of football is a very long time, isn't it? I mean, nowadays, for example, my two kids were in yesterday.
Exactly.
I mean, they know nothing other than the Premier League. I mean, if you start talking to them about what went on in the first division of the old football world, they don't know what you're talking about.
Do you know what? Unless you're about 58, that's a minimum age, you won't be able to remember anything about the World Cup in '66.
No.
So that means that a great proportion of the population are just not inclusive in those sparkling personal memories.
Well, just looking at the sort of the rundown of the players in the team, I think everybody knows who all the players were pretty much.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's a name in this spread that I'm looking at of the assistant manager,
Shepherd.
and it's a name that I've never heard before.
Oh yeah, from Middlesbrough.
What's his name?
Shepherd.
No, it's Harold Shepherdson.
Shepherdson. Sorry, Harold Shepherdson.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
right,
you know everybody else. You know Jeff Hurst, Martin Peters, Bobby Moore,
Harold Shepherdson from Middlesbrough.
Bobby Charlton, Alf Ramsey.
He only ever played 17 games of football and then went into physio, really.
Yeah.
And he was coach not just to Alf Ramsey, he was coach to the previous manager, Walter Winterbottom, and Joe Mercer, who took over temporarily after Alf went in 74.
He died in 1995.
Yeah, a lot of them died. Alan Ball,
70,
sadly, the youngest player on that day, sadly died in 2007.
Yeah,
and
that may have something to do with it as well, I suppose, in as much as, you see Jeff Hurst talking quite a bit about it. You don't see very many of the other players. But let's talk to Andy Pearce, who's the curator of the National Football Museum up in Manchester, and ask him what preparations are going on around the country, celebrations as well. Andy, very good afternoon to you.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah,
very well indeed, Andy. Thank you for joining us.
Now, it's obviously a massive event for you guys up there in the Football Museum, and there's a big do going on at Wembley, as far as I'm aware. But Mike Parry, my co-host here, has just been saying, you don't get the sense that there's a massive amount of sort of what you might call goodwill around the country about the '66 win, and we just wonder why that might be.
Well, I think it's a long time ago. It is 50 years ago. When we were preparing our exhibitions here at the National Football Museum and our one at Wembley Stadium, we did do quite a bit of research about, particularly into young people who perhaps it wasn't within the living memory of. I think there is interest in it. I think young people were fascinated by the fact that 50 years ago this country could host a tournament on the scale of the World Cup, and they sort of vaguely knew about the team, but they were amazed by the fact that it was going on in Middlesbrough, in Liverpool, in Manchester, at White City Greyhound Stadium. They were fascinated by it. So I think there is a genuine interest in the tournament.
Yeah, do you know what, Andy? I know it's a strange thing to say, but I think it's neither too far in the past, like the Somme, sort of 100 years ago, nor is it too recent. So, we can't say it was only 15 years ago and we still remember all the players. And sadly, very, very sadly, because of the way life moves on, some of the players now are elderly and unable to come out in public to celebrate this great event. And that must have contributed to the sense of, how do we get to the core of the matter?
I think for us that actually was quite a positive thing. I think we are working, the exhibitions at Manchester and Wembley are partly sponsored by the Football Association, but partly by the Heritage Lottery Fund.
Oh, great.
And we're doing it in conjunction with an organisation called the Sporting Memories Network.
Excellent.
And one of the interesting things is this will be probably, sadly, the last time that this event is in the living memory of a lot of people who were there.
That's right.
So one of the things we've really emphasised in our exhibitions and our work is getting first-hand accounts from not just the players, but the fans and the officials and those who were there. And I think that's very important. So 50 years you got the people still around who were there, who can tell you, their personal experiences, and that's really what we've been concentrating on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is invaluable because that does bring it alive, doesn't it? If it's no good showing somebody a programme unless you show you also introduce the person who had the programme and what their experience was on the day.
And I think that's been brilliant for us because not only have we managed to get personal memories from the players, but we've got the policeman who looked after the trophy, one of the guardsmen who was playing in the band on the day. We've got 2 German students who cycled around the country and found everybody very friendly and actually got into the final. So we've got all these different perspectives, and it's a real snapshot of life in Britain 50 years ago. I think that's really interesting.
I know one of the things, of course, that was most marked by looking at old footage of the game itself and also of the crowd was the lack of England flags. That the St George's flag really wasn't in evidence then, and it's only really kind of relatively recently that's been part of the England setup, isn't it?
It is, and I'm as much a social historian as I am a football historian, and that's very interesting, isn't it? 1966, even the tournament mascot had the Union Jack on his front, World Cup Willie, and those are the flags that it was. If you're an England fan, you were waving the Union Jack. So
which, of course, is curious in itself because, as I was saying earlier, we almost had to apologise to our Scottish listeners because people in Scotland often say the problem with the English is they're always banging on about 1966.
That's right. I mean, and there are different stories about how the Scots reacted to the England victory in '66. There are some that say they were congratulating his team, and then there's the great story of Dennis Law on Chawton Golf Course not watching the final, finding out the final score, and flinging his clubs across the 18th green. So it's interesting how that reaction to England winning went across the home nation.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, I think it was Pickles the dog, wasn't it, who found the trophy after it got stolen? Is that right?
It is. Yeah.
Did anybody have the foresight when poor old Pickles died, because dogs don't live all that long, do they, to have the dog stuffed so that you can actually have it as a memento in your museum?
We do have the medal that Pickles was presented for finding the trophy, and that is on display. Right. And we also have the owner Dave Corbett's story about how the trophy was found. So no, we haven't got Pickles stuffed.
No, well, you can't really stuff dogs in this day and age, Andy. I mean, Porky, I think, has forgotten that actually we don't do that kind of thing anymore.
Well, it did in 40 years ago or 45 years ago when poor old Pickles would have passed on. But anyway, that's another story. Point is, it was an incredible day for this country, Andy, and you as the curator of the National Football Museum must literally tomorrow be looking forward to one of the biggest days of your life in that job.
It is. It's been a fantastic preparation. We've been preparing this for over 2 years. It's been amazing, the people we've met, the stories that we've uncovered, and I think we've brought together, both in Manchester and at Wembley, a collection of objects that have probably not been together since that day in July 1966. So I think it's a fascinating exhibition. It's been a great exhibition to work on.
And so, are you expecting sort of big queues tomorrow? As people, do you want to invite people to come along?
We've already had large numbers coming up over the month of July, the anniversary of the tournament.
Yes.
I mean, we're very busy up here at the Football Museum anyway, but I think this is probably the greatest sporting anniversary, not just football anniversary for England. So, we've really tried to pull out the stops and get together the sort of greatest collection of artefacts for this exhibition. And there's a lot of fascinating things for people to see.
I only regret, Andy, that my own personal hero, Alan Ball, the youngest player on that day, died so prematurely. Died in 2007.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very kindly, the Alan Ball's family have lent us some amazing artefacts of his and mementos of his experience in the tournament, and so that's really nice to be able to put those on display for the public to enjoy.
Indeed, certainly is. Andy, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Thanks, Andy. Enjoy the day tomorrow as well.
Brilliant celebration. OK, now remember, everybody, this is the Two Mics. We are sitting in for Colin Murray on TalkSport with Wicks, and the Karcher K4 pressure washer. You can save £50 on that right now. It was £189.99. It is now £139.99.
Tremendous stuff. I hope you're not going to take any of the information we just gleaned from our last guest, Mr. Pearce, there from the National Football Museum, and try and use it in the quiz.
Well, it's pretty obvious that I knew an awful lot of what I was talking about, wasn't it? Eh?
Well, because
pretty obvious to you.
The questions that can't be changed.
You didn't even know Harold
Shepherdson
was.
No,
I'm astonished.
I'm saying that. Well, you thought his name was Shepherd.
Yeah, well, he was known as Shep to his friends.
Really?
That's why. Yeah.
This is TalkSport. This is Talk Sports. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. Right now, though, it is time for the Porky Quiz.
Indeed.
And the Porky Quiz, which, of course, is the highlight of the week for many people. And because of what we've just been talking about with Andy Pearce, the curator of the National Football Museum, it is time for a Porky Quiz on the World Cup of 1966. And so, you say you're an expert. I'm predicting 3 out of 10.
Okay.
The questions are in front of me. And, of course, as ever, if you get one correct, you will hear this sound.
Motor car.
And if you get one incorrect, you will hear this sound.
Fiat Punto.
Oh, OK, that's fair enough. What relevance that's got to the 1966 World Cup, I have no idea.
Never mind.
But it has a relevance to today's show.
It doesn't have to be relevant. Now, are you ready for question number 1?
Yes.
Now, there's only one answer, all right? So I don't want you messing me about and saying, well, the answer's wrong, right? There's only one correct answer. Who was the referee?
The referee was Mr. Dainst.
What's his
D-E-I-N-S-T.
I need both names.
Sorry?
I need his name. I don't need
his
one
name.
name.
His name is Dainst, and his first name was Gottfried.
Correct.
Gottfried Dainst.
Correct.
All
right, question number 2.
Do you realise the individual judges had already given me the right answer vote before I gave you his Christian name?
You can only get half a point if you get half of the name.
Well, I've now got 1 point.
You've got 1 point.
Yeah,
1 out of 1.
1 out of 1.
Well done.
100% so far.
Yeah, well done. What was the TV audience?
TV audience for that game, do you mean in England or the world?
I mean in the UK.
In the UK, the TV audience in the UK on that particular day was 24 million.
Incorrect.
No!
It was 32.3 million, the highest ever for any event in the UK.
33.2?
32.3.
32.3.
Yeah. So now you've got...
I don't think 32.3 million people had hotels. Had televisions in those days.
Well, there was people crowded around television, so they had a very big audience, right? Now, of course, that means you've gone from 100% to 50% in one fell swoop.
No, it doesn't. It means that the gerrymandered question that you've just given me, that's impossible to calculate that figure. Because I'm telling you now, I know that for a fact that Butlins Pathelli, 400 people watched it in one room. I was told that because we didn't go. We stayed at home, watched it on telly, and went later.
So you reckon there's a room in Butlins Pathelli that can hold 400 people?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Is that a family room?
No, it was like the cinema. They put a telly in there. But, I mean, it must have been so small if you're in the room. Not sure how much they saw.
Are you ready for question number 3?
Yes.
In August 1966, a special commemorative stamp was issued. How much was it for?
A special commemorative stamp?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with the World Cup victory?
Well, it was a special commemorative stamp to do with the World Cup victory.
No, the World Cup took place on July the 30th.
Yes.
It ended on July the 30th, 1966.
And in August...
Issuing stamps in August is an utterly irrelevant question.
How much was it for?
You want to know how much it was for?
Yeah.
The stamp?
Yes. And I need a precise amount.
The commemorative stamp?
Yes.
It was for... 6D. 6 pence.
6 pence? Incorrect.
No!
I thought you were going to say it, actually, because it was actually 4 pence.
4 pence?
Yeah, 4 old pence.
Well, that's a ridiculous question, honest to God,
You've now gone calamitously down to 33%. 1 out of 3. Question number 4.
Actually.
Who scored Germany's first goal?
Germany's first goal was scored by the blonde-haired Helmut Haller.
Correct.
Hey! Woo, 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 woo.
That means you've got 2 out of 4, back up to 50%.
Yeah.
Question number 5. Yes. What was number 1 in the charts at the time?
Number 1 in the charts at the time in 1966, when England recorded their victory on July the 30th, was in fact... this was 1966.
That wasn't it.
No, hang on. I'm thinking aloud here. Thinking aloud. I believe, you see, it wasn't the Summer of Love. That was 1967, where they had all those songs about let's go to San Francisco. So it was a year before. So I believe it to have been... it wasn't the Beatles. I know that for a fact. It was the Searchers.
It was actually this.
You don't know what's going on. You've been away for far too long.
Baby, get out of town. Right, I know that one.
You're out of touch, my baby. My old-fashioned baby.
It's not Get Out of Town.
Right, so it's
not Get Out of Town. Listen.
You're out of town.
You're out of time.
Out of time. Well,
this is what you are.
Same thing.
Any idea who it's by?
So who was that half-baked?
Well, it's a Rolling Stones song, as you probably know.
It's not a Rolling Stones song.
Is.
Well, that wasn't the Rolling Stones singing it.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, so who was the half-baked?
Chris Farlow.
Chris Farlow.
He was number
What's he
one.
got to do with it? He didn't play for England.
No, he didn't.
What number was he?
He was number one.
Yeah, a ridiculous question.
Number 6.
Right.
Who hit the post in extra time?
Who hit the post in extra time? Who hit the post in extra time?
Yeah.
Nobody hit the post in extra time. I'm thinking aloud, thinking
I think you'll find that somebody hit the post in extra time.
It certainly wasn't an England player. So the person who hit the post in extra time... Yes, now then, it's coming back to me, flooding back to me. It was Martin Peters.
Incorrect.
No!
It was, in fact, Bobby Charlton.
Bobby Charlton.
So far you have, let's see, 1, 2 correct.
I didn't know he
out of 6.
did at the post.
Question number 7.
Right.
Tofik Abamarov was the famous linesman involved in the third goal decision.
Yes.
Who was the other one?
There wasn't another linesman involved in the decision because linesmen play half of a pitch each.
Who was the other linesman?
No, Tofik Baramov and the referee, Mr. Dainst, they got together and discussed it. The other linesman had nothing to do with it.
I'm not asking you what he had to do with the third goal. I'm saying who was the other linesman.
It's irrelevant. He had nothing to do with it.
Well, he had nothing to do with the game.
He had nothing to do with the disputed goal.
It's not about the disputed goal.
Is.
I'm asking you for the name of the other linesman.
It doesn't matter what the other linesman, who the other linesman was.
Right.
He was a Russian guy.
Reread the question.
No. He was a Russian
you
guy.
clearly misunderstood the question.
No, I haven't misunderstood anything.
I just need the name of the other linesman.
It's not relevant to the issue that we're
so shall I just mark it down as wrong then?
No, he was a Russian guy.
Well, carry on. You want to give me his name?
His name... Ernst.
Ernst what?
Benter.
Ernst Benter from Russia.
Yeah.
I should really take even marks away. It was Dr. Karol Galba, who was actually from Czechoslovakia.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the doctor doing, running the flag on the other side?
Well.
Did the real linesman not turn up on the day or something? Get him out of the crowd.
Maybe he got one of those special doctorates from the University of Chester.
Yeah, exactly.
Question number 8. Which Beatles song uses Kenneth Wolstenholme's commentary from the game?
There's people on the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now. Beatles song. Now, what's this got to do with the World Cup?
It's Kenneth Wolstenholme commentary from the World Cup.
That would be, of course, A Day in the Life.
Incorrect.
No!
I thought you were supposed to be a Beatles expert.
Well, which one is it?
Have a look, though.
Looking through a glass onion.
It's called Glass Onion.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I told you.
Well, that's the song.
Well, hang on. I didn't hear any
well, we'll play
commentary.
that a bit later if you want. They use it on a loop, I promise you.
Well, it's not in that song, and I've never heard it in that song.
It is in that song.
I'm sorry, that is an inaccurate question.
No, it's not.
I have never heard any commentary from Wolstenholme in...
You thought Axl Rose was the lead singer of the Stone Roses.
That song is the third track on the first side of the double album, the double white album, which the Beatles brought out in 1968, and there is no Wolstenholme commentary on that. It's an erroneous question.
There is. You got 2 out of 8, so you're getting very close to 3, as I predicted. Question number 9. Who scored the goal against the German keeper in an Adidas advert reenactment of the third goal in 2006?
What a load of rubbish.
What do you mean?
A stupid blinking
Listen, I don't
question.
set the questions. You covered your World Cup in 2006, didn't you?
Read that question again.
Who scored the goal against the German keeper in an Adidas advert reenactment of the third goal by England in 2006?
What a ridiculous question.
Why is it ridiculous?
However, I know the answer.
Do you?
It was David Beckham.
Incorrect.
No!
It was Frank Lampard, actually.
Frank Lampard.
Shortly before he hit the funnily enough, scored the goal after he hit the crossbar, that was disallowed.
That was
so there was bad karma there. Now, so you got 2 out of 9.
Yeah, well, it's stupid
you
questions.
You may, in fact, get 3 out of 10, which was my prediction. Finally, question number 10. How many of the 1966 quarter-finals were televised live?
How many of them?
How many?
How many of them?
Yes.
Televised live?
Yes.
All 4 of them.
Incorrect.
No!
You're not much of an expert.
So how many
at all.
was it?
You got 2 out of 10.
No, how many of the
They only televised 1, which was England v Argentina, which was live on ITV and BBC. And you know why?
Why?
Because they all kicked off at the same time.
Ridiculous.
3 p.m. on Saturday.
Utterly ridiculous.
So you got 2 out of 10.
Well, most of the questions were irrelevant.
Absolutely
Why
horrendous.
didn't you ask me how many grounds were used in this country?
How many
8.
grounds?
Yeah, 8 were used, okay?
Right.
2 in London. Roker Park, Ayresome Park,
4,
Goodison,
5,
Old Trafford,
6,
Villa Park,
7,
Hillsborough,
8.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why didn't you ask me that?
I didn't put the questions
If you
together.
asked me that, I'd have got it all right.
Well, you got to got 3 out of 10 instead of 2.
I'd have got it all right then. Why didn't you ask me which player from Wolverhampton Wanderers was in the squad but never played?
Who was that?
Ronnie Flowers.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got a question for that. I should have got a mark for that.
Yeah, well, I don't make up the questions.
Hey?
I just read them out.
Why didn't you ask me who Alan Ball played for when he played in the World Cup final before he went to Everton?
Who was that?
Blackpool.
Was it?
Why didn't you ask me that? Why didn't you ask me any questions I know the answers to?
It's not on the list. I can't ask you questions I know the answer to. You don't know the answer to anything.
Bake.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 Mikes, and of course we send a £100 Wix gift card to our best caller every day, as decided by the incredibly fair and never at all dishonest Mr. Mike Porky Parry.
Indeed.
Who have you chosen today, Mr. Parry?
We've chosen the gentleman from the north of England.
Yes.
Mr.
Holker.
Mr. Holker, indeed.
The man who got the motor car for winning a pigeon race.
If you win a pigeon race, you win a motor car.
Yeah, in fact, it was a Fiat Punto.
A motor car.
A motor car.
What sort of car? A
Fiat
Punto. Thank you. Lovely.
Well, he's got a £100 Wix gift card on its way to him, so that's absolutely brilliant. Now, a couple of people have commented on your quiz performance.
Yes.
Steve says this: can we deduct a point for out of town? Hashtag plank.
No.
Mark says, was the 66 World Cup all that good? 16 teams, 10 European, linesmen hated Germans, games moved for greyhound racing. Was actually easier to lose it.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Well, and also a few here which are pointing out the irrelevance of many of your questions.
Not my questions.
Yes.
No, I don't set the questions.
Yes.
Questions are set by the independent quizmasters. All I do is read them out.
Really? Yeah. Well, here we go.
Well, I've got one here from Glenn that says, out of time, Porky sings Baby Get Out of Town.
Yes.
Usual quiz performance, whinging about the questions.
Yeah, well, but the questions were whingeable today, I'm telling you. Like I'm finding this one here. Here we go. IMG making the Porky quiz impossible to win. That comes from PJC, and he's absolutely right.
It's not about winning and losing. It's about how many points you get.
I was expecting a question about Route 66 to pop up at some point. Your questions were so irrelevant, MG.
Not true. Porky should be deported after that disgraceful performance in the quiz, says Jim.
Yeah, and here's one from Steve. Well done, Porky. You should have boycotted the quiz questions about a 2006 advert, gerrymandering of the highest order. MG just wants you to fail.
Not at all.
Yes.
Like I say, it's nothing to do with me. The questions come in from the independent quizmasters every week, and I have no influence over them whatsoever.
And young Nick says, totally agree with Porky. Most of the questions that were supposed to be about the 66 World Cup were totally irrelevant. And Matthew goes on to say, safe to say you got royally stitched up there today, Porky, by that. Well, I'm not going to say what word he said.
Don't read out any bad words.
MG.
No, I've got some terrible news for you.
Yeah.
You're going down, I presume, to the coast this weekend, are you?
Certainly am.
Down to Gosport.
Well, yes.
One of the poorest places in the entire country.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we said that the other day.
No,
cheapest place to live in the world, practically.
The town Portsmouth was rated as a great value town.
Yeah.
But I don't live in Portsmouth. I live in Gosport.
Uh-huh. Now, you go to a Wetherspoons down that way, don't you?
Well, I do go over the water to Wetherspoons. There's a brilliant 3-storey high Wetherspoons right bang smack in the centre of Portsmouth, near the bus station, and it's one of my favourites.
OK, well, there's one that's shutting down.
What?
Yeah, it is. After something like 13 years, there's a Wetherspoons down there called the Trafalgar in Edinburgh Road.
That's the one.
Is that the one?
I think that's the one.
Well, it's shut.
No, it can't be.
This was put up for sale by J.D. Wetherspoons, along with 33 of its other UK pubs. Remember, I told you that was happening.
Yeah.
And they've not been performing, so you've obviously not been going there enough.
It's always packed whenever I go there, honestly.
No, the contracts have been exchanged. The pub has been for sale for a while, and the sale completes on August 19th. It's being sold to the owner of the some of the upper floors, apparently. So it's no longer going to be a Wetherspoons.
So, as you say, it's on more than one floor, then?
50 staff working there have been transferred to other Wetherspoon pubs.
Goodness gracious. Is there a picture of it?
There is, yeah.
Yeah, can I have a look at that picture,
that one
please?
there.
I want to make sure that...
Does that look right?
Let me have a look, please. I need to have a closer look at this. Sorry, folks. I know this is a visual thing.
Yeah, it's a visual thing, yeah.
Let me have a look. Let me see. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Well, surely you don't need to look at it for 20 minutes to see whether it's the one you go to and get bladdered in every afternoon.
Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. It's...
Well, you know where Portsmouth Road is? Or Edinburgh Road.
Edinburgh Road.
Do you know where that is?
I don't think that's the one that I'm thinking about. Travel Lloyd's number 1 by Edinburgh Road reported. Well, all I can say is if it's the one I'm thinking of on 3 floors, it's a very popular pub, so So I think I may have... I think that may be a distant one. I don't think it's the one that I'm talking about.
Well, it's in the middle of Portsmouth.
Yeah.
It's got 3 floors.
Yeah, it's unlikely to have 2 Weatherspoons with 3 floors in the middle of Portsmouth.
It seems unlikely, doesn't it?
I think that's probably the one.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Vincent Hilaire from Hilsey says, it's a shame, really. I don't think there's enough places to have a quiet drink and relax in the town.
No, exactly.
And taking another one away is a real shame. You managed to find plenty of places to drink. I mean, whenever I hear reports of your behaviour at the weekends, all I get is tweets at sort of late Saturday afternoon, early evening, saying, just seen Porky trying to get on the ferry.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Vince Hilaire... He's a very famous footballer.
Is he?
You don't think it's the same Vince Hilaire,
This one's 55.
Yes, that's about right.
Yeah.
Vince Hilaire used to play for Crystal Palace, didn't he?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think he did. What do you mean you don't know? I thought you did know. Listen, one thing that we've
Apparently they're going to put some flats up there instead.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Property development. One thing that we've been threatening to inform the audience about all week and haven't, common pesticides used to protect crops are inadvertently sterilising bees. And this is bad news for the whole world. Once bees stop pollinating food, we're all going to die of starvation.
Really?
Yeah, they literally. That's not an empty threat.
Did you not tell me this already?
If bees stop pollinating flowers and food and honey and all that kind of stuff, no food will grow in the world. An investigation into neonicotinoid pesticides...
Neon?
Yeah, which are banned in the EU but have been backed by the UK government, found that they significantly reduce the lifespan and sperm quality of male bees. I'm not sure you needed to know that. Too much information.
It's a family show, this, you know.
It is. The scientists involved said this would have a potentially serious effect on the viability of hives. It comes from one of my journals, this. It's the Proceedings of the Royal Society of Beehives.
Is that right?
Exposed in a laboratory to food laced with pesticides. Right. And believe me, Christopher Connolly from the University of Dundee.
One of the great phrases. You should have that on your grave.
Yeah, that's right.
Believe me.
Yeah. Christopher
Honest
Connolly.
to God.
From the University of Dundee. I'm from Dundee.
And the jam comes from Dundee. You know that, don't you?
And so does the Dundee Courier. Comes from Dundee.
Well, of course the Dundee Courier comes from Dundee. It's a newspaper in Dundee.
Yeah, he said that the key issue raised by the study was whether the queen, that's Queen Bee, was less fertile as a result.
Oh, yeah.
Fertility of the queen is linked to the colony's success, not because it helps to replenish a stock of bees, but also when she ceases to reproduce, the colony has to replace her, which is difficult and costly.
Really?
Honeybee queens mate with many males.
Is this how you want to end the show?
Yeah,
really?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think we should end the show on reflecting on the rather marvellous couple of features we had today, and that would be on the pigeon fancying community, and of course
the scandal. The scandal-ridden community.
And, of course, I'd really, really like to point to our millions and millions of listeners to get onto that video on Two Mics. Two Mics on YouTube, and have a look at the transformation. The transformation. Two Mics TV. The transformation of the...
As Sarah Jane said, she thought I had beautiful hair, very thick, lustrous, and thought I looked very handsome.
Of the one who could be pulled through a hedge backwards any day of the week. Now then, please do remember, you are listening to the Two Mics. We are filling in for Colin Murray. We're on TalkSport, and we are with Wix. And you can get half price on selected tiling and flooring with an extra 15% across the range when you buy online. Let me tell you, this magnificent offer ends on August the 2nd.
It really does. And, of course, next week we're on Talk Radio. But we'll tell you more about that on Twitter, of course, coming up. This is Talk Sport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.